Hello! Hello!
Welcome
to
our celebration of Exalted Third
Hashtag EX3 Celebrate!
Hype.
Or at least if we've got live hype.
Yeah.
Live
hype?
If you guys could be so great as to give us some live hype,
I'll just
we
remain
would
aloof
appreciate
until
it.
we have some live hype.
Yeah. So far we have no confirmation of live hype.
That's fine, we can just dance forever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, John Verrill just went live on Twitch. I got the email. So.
The email.
The email.
I don't.
What? The email?
I mean, John's cool and all, but why would I want?
Hooray, hype!
Everyone's got it yet.
Yes.
Alright, there we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Turn the bottle around. You're giving free advertising.
Oh, sorry. That said,
Gracious.
if Alchemist is watching,
You bastards.
Give us some dollars.
I would. Woof. If this was sponsored by a microbrew, I would be.
Oh, that's right, because they get ads before they get to start watching us.
Yes, Real Brick Wall. That's the focus.
Yeah.
We're already talking about that. Welcome all to a celebration of the release of Exalted 3rd Edition
Yeah.
to the general public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And well, also the existence of the version with the index, because it's amazing. But with that many pages, index please.
Dudes,
Ah.
yes, we were going through PDFs with no index, and I was doing like word finds and stuff. So this is going to make a
You'd
lot
be
more
surprised
sense.
how many times they use the word solar in
Or
the book.
charms.
Yeah.
Or
Charm. Technique. Just like a million. No, it's not.
So I don't know if
Yes.
you guys know, this book's been a long time coming. I mean, it took 4 years since the end of the Kickstarter for it to arrive, and that's because, like, we've had developers develop life-threatening illnesses that they had to take care of before
Yikes.
they could, complete work on the book. It's been a nightmare for people to try to get it through, but it's finally here. What we're doing today, guys, is we're doing a kind of a Q&A roundtable. We're not running a session today. However, what we're hoping to do is be able to give some insight onto the book itself and also into ExalTwitch, depending on how things go. We're going to take questions from the chat, but first I just want to kick it off. You guys all of you, there's 3 of you, all of you have played Exalted in the past. You guys played 2nd edition, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Did.
Okay, so that makes me the only one who's played it since 1st edition, I think.
He's so old.
So
Show me.
what do you guys think of this game, Exalted 3rd, compared to 2nd edition?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the setting, I guess, a little later because I have both of you 3. I have lots to say about the setting. It's all very positive, but in terms of what's been changed, it appears to have been expanded greatly, and that's always very positive when it's a world that you love. But in terms of the mechanics, the changes have both made it more user-friendly, I find, and more interesting and deeper for long-time players. It somehow managed to strike a balance of both, which I love.
Yeah, somehow they expanded the world while making it more streamlined.
Yeah.
Don't know how you guys managed it, but bravo. I don't remember too much about our 2nd edition games because they were a little while ago, but I do remember that combat system in this is, I think once you get the hang of the withering and decisive and the initiative track and everything, then it makes a lot more sense. And I also really love the intimacies. I think that that's a fantastic way of reminding you always what your character wants, what they really care about, and what can be used against them in situations like social combat. So, I think that's an awesome element.
Yes.
Other-
Oh my topic.
Whoa!
That's okay. No, a lot of the times when the system is updated, they're doing some play balance, they're making some adjustments, but often the same classes or the structure is relatively similar. Maybe they've changed some of the world, they've advanced the story. Exalted 3rd, completely, like, they kept the core, they kept the heart of it. They've done so much to expand it. There's, like, if I remember correctly, Exalted 2nd had, like, some charms, but they didn't have
Well.
600 charms.
Well, they had quite a few charms.
Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
far more charms
Yeah.
in third than there is in
So I
second.
feel like there's just so many options when it comes to the charms alone. And Withering and Decisive, it's just a completely new combat system, but it makes sense. Once you get over the what the heck is this phase, it really is really cool. I think it's very epic, and that's what's like Exalted is about. You are epic. You're the best.
Yes.
No one exalts it wouldn't use it.
Right.
You guys
Unlike
never had to
another
deal with
systems.
splitting dice pools. That's what the
No,
chat's
that's
talking
what
about.
they're talking about.
So first
Yeah.
edition, when you were attacking, you had to figure out your pool, but you also had to decide how many dice you were going to devote to like attacking and how many dice you were going to devote to parrying.
Oh.
And the rules for that were complicated as to what the pools would be, and then you would literally have to roll your attack, then you'd have to roll your defense, then you'd have to roll your damage, then you'd have to roll your soak, then it would apply.
Woof.
So every attack was 4 rolls.
Right.
This one's
Forever.
brought it down to 2. We don't have the tick system anymore, which, interesting in theory, in execution,
Yeah.
ugh.
But I mean,
yeah, the tick wheel.
but
Oh
that's
boy.
like I think there's something to be said in terms of, I mean, like Kate was saying, there's obviously a huge grandeur and epicness to the game. How do you make combat flow quickly and not get bogged down? Because some people, like you were talking about the other day, John, some people are tacticians and some people want to figure things out and they want to min-max and they want to sort of plot out their stats.
Some people have a million brawl charms.
Oh, sure, and some people want to just
You need to get through them.
some people want to just be like, I want to fight this combat and I want it to feel awesome and I want to see if I win or lose. So how do you get through it while making it still feel epic? And I think the splitting the pool systems, tick system, like these are all... Yeah. Oh, Crosshair, we should talk about that. So, I'm going to interrupt, sorry. There's a cat. Actually, there's 2 cats in my field of vision over here, and they are just waiting to wreck something. So I am ready. Yeah. Yeah, it is really tropical, Kate. I assume that was the reason.
Yeah, absolutely. A day without fusion is like a day without sunshine.
Hey, Hate Wheel. Anyone in the chat right now who had a hand in writing 3rd edition or developing it, I think it would be really great if you guys introduced yourselves.
Yeah,
the
we're going to give you a round of
developers.
applause.
Because
Fucking A, man.
congratulations, celebrating
Yes,
today.
congrats. Celebrate, drink all the booze, if that is what you want.
All the developers in the chat, put your hands up, and then tell us
Not
because we
us.
can't.
And
see
they're
them.
all going to get so sick.
What?
At the
Oh,
end
from
of
just,
any
like,
major
stress.
project,
It's,
the stress releases and your body is just like,
yeah, you
I don't
the
have to
time
give a
get
fuck,
sick.
and then that's when
So
everything
that happens
gets
whenever I close a show, my body's like, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we're done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Hooray for
So
them.
for John Merck,
Woo! And anyone else who wants
Yeah.
to.
Well, I'm not sure if there's been like somebody
forward.
else in there the whole time that we didn't know. So I figured this would be a good way of.
now I have to say that you can even see. I mean, we've got 9 episodes right now, which are up on YouTube. This is kind of like an
Doesn't-
interim. It doesn't
not an
count.
episode.
It's Sunday episode 10.
Sunday is episode 10. But I think you can see that we ran a couple of sessions before we started streaming because we wanted to make sure that we weren't complete idiots. But I think you can find that over the course of us running the game, things have gotten faster, more streamlined as we figured out what we needed to do in order to make the game work for our group. But it worked out well, I feel. I mean, it's neat to see how we've progressed in terms of both combat and social interaction. We've kind of gradually introduced rules like the intimacies system and all of that, and the game scaled well to our expectations. But I mean, the last time we were in combat, it went super fast, but it also still felt like it was going. It was still had that kind of epic feeling to it. I think Withering versus Decisive is my favorite thing about
Yes.
the combat system.
Yeah, I love that you can be hitting someone but not actually doing damage to their health unless you choose to. I like that you're wearing down their defenses, but I really like that, like, my character's supernal is Brawl. So I like the fact that just because I punch someone doesn't mean I'm automatically going to do a crap ton of damage to their health track.
Well,
Because I don't necessarily want to do that, and the idea that I wouldn't be able to control that is, like,
But
it's
it-
frustrating.
I mean, it also brings, like, in my mind, every time I think about this, which one of the reasons I'm actually having a bit of a weird time with Jorg having archery as a combat skill. But anyway, I imagine, you know, two characters kind of trying to find the upper hand in, like, a duel, right? Either with swords or with, magic, you know, quote unquote, or with fists, or, like, you know what I mean? They're trying to find each other's weak spot, and there's this back and forth until one of them's just like, Duke, and, you know, or whatever. I'm just kidding. But really, like, the knockout blow.
Yeah.
It's ready, you know?
It's interesting to me, just based on, I mean, we're professionals, right? We're performing professionals, and one of the things that I've done some extra study on is stage combat, although we all actually have some experience in that.
That's right.
And one of the things that in a fight that's very important is that you're not constantly just cutting each other. You know, you're battling for supremacy, you're waiting for the upper hand, and the blows that you're landing might be sort of glancing blows. They don't really do any damage, but it's enough to sort of knock you back or make you angry and going forward. And this system captures that. It captures that sensation of what a fight feels like on film, like in cinema or in a book, right? Like that really cool thing. Because a normal sword fight, it's and I stabbed you through the chest and you're dead, and I move on. Or I hit you in the arm and you're like, I can't go on because it hurts a lot and my arm's not there anymore, and then that's it. But this game really kind of gives that sort of emphasis to it that pleases me.
Well, it also gives a
Pleases
really
me.
interesting level of strategy. I think it was Hate Wheel who was talking about how you had been playing a live session recently, and you had said that using a combination of excellencies and charms, you were able to get an insane amount of initiative right off the bat. And that because now when I'm choosing charms and stuff, I'm thinking like, okay, what's going to be a good way for me to like stack my initiative so it's crazy high, so that when I land that decisive attack, it's all the more powerful. So it does allow you for more like strategic thinking when you're buying charms, and also when you're in the battle itself, which is super cool.
Yeah, and like I agree that it is strategic. It's a lot. I find it very interesting as opposed to a lot of systems where it is literally, do you hit, roll some damage, like. You know, like, like, if it's a dragon, then, you know, apparently it takes 50 stabs, and if it's a human, it takes, like, 20 stabs. It's like, okay, but with this, it is a lot more realistic, I find. It's more cinematic, but it feels more, like, less like numbers on a page, and more like it's actually relevant to what would happen in real life.
I want to jump in on that.
Yeah.
Tack on, if you will. So I have a nickname, Tack on. And just say that something that happens, I find sort of something that a lot of video games are guilty of is bullet sponges, right? The idea that it's just like, well, it's harder because it takes more hits for them to fall down. And I find it more interesting if it's like, okay, how can I get the upper hand? Because I shouldn't say anybody can beat anybody else. That's not how combat works, but there is a sense of like, oh, you used the terrain to your advantage, you have this advantage, you have that advantage. I want to jump in because I feel like we should acknowledge Hate Wheel and the comment.
I just floated in.
Notably, I wrote the entire Solar Charm set. Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, you know.
Come on, wouldn't that take you like 2 hours?
So on it. Okay, hang on. What ability do I want to talk about? Do I want to talk about Ride? No, I think I want to talk about Socialize. Because I've been doing a lot in the Socialized Charm set.
Yeah.
Just one of those abilities alone is like blowing my mind.
Yeah.
What effects do you want to have? How do they build on each other? What's the tree and the progression kind of look like? Also naming them.
Well, Know the Soul's Price. Is that a new charm for the 3rd edition, or did that exist?
No, that existed before. But
okay.
I was not playing a talker when we played 2nd edition.
Ray
got Ride all right.
There's something also that I want to point out about the charm system is that all of the abilities now have a lot of charms.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2nd edition, there were some that had like 6, and that's just not happening anymore. And if you want your supernal ability to be Sail, now it's actually a cool thing that you can do. If you want, especially, I gotta say, the craft system.
Oh my god! I just opened it and I was like,
so
"Oh my god!" It's
I'm
crazy.
so excited to
Die and make a
Die
craft
so you can make
character.
Interestingly enough,
eventually make a crafting character.
I
Yeah.
had the exact same impulse.
Yeah.
Not that I want Jork or Val to go anywhere, but if they were to,
One of us.
there'd be some crafting
So
twilight.
it's a
Some of
race
us
to see
don't
who
have
dies
plan
first.
Bs.
Craft.
Some of us are here to stay.
The craft system is great because it solves a problem that I find is particularly endemic in games where there is a crafting system. Two of them, actually. The first is that you can't kind of just be a gigantic, I'm going to make the best weapons battery. Like, you can't, like, the power creep goes up so high in those games because you just have, like, all right, so everyone, we're just going to stay here for a year, and I'm going to make you the best weapon you can possibly have. And then you can have the best weapon you can possibly have. And the charm system now, the way that it is, you have to build upon your projects. You have to get to the point where you can build something amazing, which gives the player a sense of satisfaction. I've gone through the effort. I have done it. I have made something that's worth it. And giving the player that kind of satisfaction is a hard thing to do. It not only contains the fact that you can't just make everything that you want, but it also makes you feel cool that you made it.
Yeah.
And that's not easy.
No, definitely not. Again, like you said, John, there's a temptation to make it very rote in games that, like, I'm thinking of a sin that a lot of video games have, which is crafting is just a grind. And that's not. I mean, it's not fun for me. Some people are. Some people are all about the grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I do feel like the only system that I've ever been around someone playing a crafter in was D&D, and in that it was literally like, roll your dice, and
Did you roll higher
the
than a 30?
GM's like, okay, it'll take you this long, and you'll make this much money worth of cups if you want to make cups and sell them, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
buddy.
that's what he was doing though. He was
Gotta
like, he
get
had a
them
cart full of
cups.
stuff that he had made. He was selling
Cart.
wherever we traveled. But
That's
like,
fantastic.
it was very like the crafting itself wasn't interesting. It was just like roll some dice and whatever. Whereas it seems like thought has been put into every single attribute, which is just so cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Now
Because
I have a cat.
Literal snail will try to kill ourselves off so that you can see the crafting system in action.
Yikes.
As soon as
I'm
we
actually a
possibly
big fan.
can.
I know that it's a different thing. We haven't seen one yet. I'm not going to necessarily say that. The idea of the liminal and the exigent exalted, bringing that into the core book excites me.
Yeah.
The idea that you can have an exalted who's literally just, I'm the exalt of luck, or
Yeah.
I am the exalt of cooking, or I am the exalt.
Yes!
Like, just something like that brings so much kind of flavor to the game that you can use it if you want, you can ignore it if you want, and it doesn't really even change that much because they're rare in the first place. That's cool. The liminal exalted, the created exalted, like, it gives you more tools. And this game is full of tools. Now, admittedly, it's a little daunting,
well,
Yeah.
sure.
especially if you
Did
get
anyone
the
see the
hardcover.
size of the book? Like, Onyx Path went
Well-
in their most recent blog post, they sent a photo of the hardcover so you can see.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
Yeah.
I just ordered it today. I am terrified
Well,
when
I
it
mean,
arrives.
Look, I don't want to draw.
Excited.
I don't want to draw a direct comparison because I don't think that's super fair. But I'm looking at a D&D 5th player's handbook, over on the side, and D&D 5th is a fun game. We've been enjoying it. And when I first opened it, I was like, oh great, I'll pick a race, I'll pick a class, I'll pick a background. I'll do this. I'll check all the boxes, and I'm ready to adventure. John, what's next? John, our dedicated DM here. And there's something to be said. Daunting is scary, but it's also really awesome to have so many options available to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to do, right? We could be this game could be set at sea. This game could be set
Absolutely.
in a volcano. Bad example.
I haven't actually looked at the sort of information for storytellers and that section of it that sort of got some
Yeah,
examples.
the part that you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about.
the part that
Ew.
I'm sort of, partially ignoring because I want to focus on what I'm doing, partially because I don't want to have that external knowledge, but just the storyline that they've put into it and the text that discusses the fact that,
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
every god, big or small, if they're, like, not worshipped very much, they might be able to exalt one person, whereas, like,
Pretty boss.
bigger ones can exalt, like, hundreds if they need to. But I think that's great, and it gives storytellers options to sort of be like, Yeah. Or even player's options. So, like, no, I want to be the only Exalt of this, like, random tree god, right? Like, you can. If that's what you're really interested in, you can, and they've sort of put it into the world.
Yeah, it means not every game is the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're
That's
drastically different
really
when
good
it comes
point.
to setting, when it comes to the individual
Oh my
types
God.
of Exalted, the caste system. It's just like
I can only imagine though.
so many options.
As a storyteller, there's a little moment where if I had a player come up to me and say, "So I want to play an exigent," and I'd just be like, "Okay, we're gonna have some discussions about things like charms." But
Could take any
There-
charm related to tree.
Yeah.
Any charm
can
related
I
to
have
honey.
Tweet charm?
But on the subject of those options in the story is that when I was trying to figure out what part of the East Val was from, I went and looked through, like, I sort of skimmed through, I think the North is the first chapter, and then I got to the East and I started reading it, and every single town and city and region has its own story hook.
Yep. I love
Alone, right
Yeah.
there.
Big fan.
And there's like 20 or 30 per cardinal point. So there you go. You've got 100 sessions
Yeah,
already.
that's-
Like the hook is there for
Which-
you.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can make up your own
You can make up your own.
damn
absolutely.
hook if you need to, but
that's
it's there.
the thing. Like,
The daunting part sometimes while we're running ExalTwitch is that we'll say something and somebody will point out something that they've learned from like either a source book in second or they've just delved deep into EX3 and you're like, oh right, yeah, that's in the book, eh? Oh boy, and so then you have to sometimes whip out the golden rule and run away screaming. But
yeah.
I love the fact that I mean this is something that's always been true about Exalted, but things that I like about old Exalted that goes into EX3. Great representation of male versus female.
Agreed.
They've been very specific about also saying what people's appearance are in terms of like there's different races across creation kind of thing. It doesn't sort of fall prey to the trope of like everyone is a relatively tall, attractive white person, which helps.
Yeah.
It's the red rule, which I went into at length on RPG Clinic, is a great thing to put in there, and that's we actually have John Merck to thank for that. He was the one who put that in, which was great. The red rule is a great thing just because you can influence people so much socially, and yet at the same time, there's a release valve built in there so that players and GMs don't have to feel threatened by their own game.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I
But
just
that's
want to address chat about medicine. Val, as much as medicine isn't her supernal, it probably would have been if it worked with her cast. But I actually think the medicine charms are really cool. The first few, like, whatever, you know, you can heal people fast, or you can get rid of a few, like, health levels of damage. But later on, oh my god, it gets really cool as far as I'm concerned. Maybe it's just because I'm really excited about medicine. But it's like, there's a charm out there, I can't remember the exact wording, but it's like, I absorb your damage.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I absorbed too much, I'm dead.
Well,
But I can do that on purpose. Like, it's like, that's the thing. It's
the
like,
martyrdom.
I
Ray,
absorbed
you're
too
like
much.
this close to death. You live, I die.
Whoa.
Yikes.
Benny Boy 360. It
10
will be on
out of
YouTube.
10.
I uploaded RPG Clinic to the wrong YouTube channel.
Hi.
So yeah, it
My
went on Liz's
RPG
instead.
Clinic now.
So I have to just put it on mine, and then it'll be uploaded. It will be there. The medicine thing, I'll get to in a
No,
second.
it's a tangent anyway. It's fine.
The medicine thing is really interesting in that also this game, but this is also like other versions of Exalted, but specifically I'm glad they kept it this way. You can't just undo damage without consequence, right? There isn't just like, oh, I'm just using my essence as a personal health battery for everyone else.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I think that takes so much away from combat in a lot of ways. Like, oh yeah, I'm really hurt. Come here. Boom. And we're good. Moving on. And
Yeah.
Well, especially because you regain essence so quickly. And rightly so. I mean,
yeah, you gotta, if you're gonna give people a whole bunch of cool toys to play with, let them play with their cool toys.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like that. You remember? You guys have played RPGs in the past, like video game RPGs, where you get like potions at the beginning, and you're like, "Oh, I better not spend my potions because I might need these later." And at the end of the game, you
Yep.
have 7 billion potions.
Yeah.
That's how I am with Skyrim.
every time.
Yeah.
So
Well-
many. Better hold on to this lock-picking potion.
And I get the
Never
feeling
use
like
it.
if you didn't
Yeah.
regain essence like that, you'd just be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I shouldn't be spending my charms because
Yeah.
if I use my charms, then I might not be able to use my charms when I need to use my charms." And then now you can. although we still have iconic animas flaring all over the place.
Sure do.
Swift work, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, you haven't seen my iconic anima yet. Whoa!
Well,
I'd
I
be
put
like,
mine on
"Sign
purpose to
this
let people
paperwork!"
know about the burning
What do you
building.
think medicine could be applied to creatively? Like, I think it's super cool that they've done inventive things with larceny, but like I heal your bank. I heal
heal your
I heal
bank.
your equipment. That's craft. So I don't know.
Oh, that's hilarious, Bunny Boy. How many wings?
It's true, Hey Wheel, that there is a certain combo that lets you bring someone up, but the sacrifice that it takes to do that, and also the sheer dedication you need to get to that point, is where I find the strength lies. You know, and, again, we compare everything to D&D because D&D is the grandmother of all
Generic.
RPG type games, right? But one of the things about D&D is that even at the very beginning, characters have access to spells that can heal them. And there's no penalty to use them other than that's how many times I can do it in a day. Exalted doesn't have that. And I love that it doesn't have that because I am tired of trying to make my players feel like they're on the ropes and then to just turn around and think, oh, well, now they're not. I have to beat them up all over again. You know?
Yeah,
And
well,
then-
that's
Yeah, I like that you still have to make it through the battle.
exactly
And then
specifically
rest.
the early medicine charms. Like, it takes an hour, so I'm not healing people mid battle. I can take charms later to do it instantly. I can eventually get to that, but it would still require my full concentration on, like, you know, I'm doing this. It's not. Yeah, it's.
Well, yeah, and when we got in our fight with
Swarm
Summer
Dwarf.
Blaze, I was hurt enough that I needed to spend a day at rest.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
also
and
it.
like when things
That's
are moving
specifically
so quickly,
Yeah.
and you're in a town
Yeah.
where more and more people
Yeah.
are learning who you are, that's risky.
Yeah.
Even just spending a day at rest.
Yeah, exactly.
With expedited healing, so
Yeah.
yeah. and-
Plus, you can always buy ride.
well,
Hey,
And then I did.
Lima.
so hashtag peer pressure worked.
Yep.
Job, everyone. I'm not sorry. Bought another dot. Bought one dot in ride. Bought another dot in stealth because Hate Wheel was like, you should get this stealth charm, and I was like, what? And I read it. And I was like, I so should. And then I did. That's
It's
my
helpful
story.
when you have the guy who wrote the damn charms telling you what charms
I just
to
tweeted.
buy.
I was like, hey Will, what do I buy? This one. It was great.
No, there's a lot of crunch to the game.
Yes.
There's a lot of crunch to it, and that's a helpful thing for me. But I think it's also, once you develop some mastery with the system, then you can really start going into it and finding out like where all the cool stuff is. It's nice that I feel like even after playing it for a while, there's still a whole ton for me to explore instead of, oh, well, that's what I get at level 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, John,
Mhm.
I mean, unless we want to address anything in the chat necessarily, do we want to talk about our experience as players or as a storyteller?
Sure.
Either compared to other systems or compared to LARPs or etc.
Well, my
Not like
oh sorry,
specifics.
just to say real brick wall. Yeah, the one that I got is Shadow Victor's Repose, I believe is what it's called. So basically, within the fight, if I'm hiding, I can re-roll join battle and add that to my current initiative.
Which of course you
shit.
now
Which
have a
is
permanent bonus to rolling initiative. or rolling-
Amazing, because with
Do you
I've
have
got
any
merits.
awareness charms, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
so
then you know
let's
that
do
you
this
can
real
spend
good.
your awareness excellency on your join battle, right?
When...
So,
I so can, and I have in the past actually.
which means that if you're able to hide, that's great.
Remember that.
Now, it's not easy necessarily to hide during battle, but if you
Well,
can,
the thing is, blinding battle feint. If I succeed, I end up hidden right off the bat. And if I roll, because then I think I can use Shadow Victor's Repose. I think. Hagel will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I could stack that on top and get an insane initiative right off the bat. What? Fight's over 1 round. I don't know.
And we're all like,
Everyone's
well,
like,
back
Liz,
to other charms
damn
and
it,
stuff,
yeah.
I guess.
I won't
Liz,
do that
God.
every
Yeah.
time. And
Um,
yet.
so Hate Wheel. Now
Thanks
talking
for
about
excellent strike.
Now
It's
talking
my
about that.
faves.
Yeah, it sure is.
we are people who know what it's like to work on a project and to push for it, and get it out. The sheer amount of effort that it takes to put a book like this in print is huge, especially because while everyone likes to think like, oh, it's the Onyx Path. Clearly they have like their own skyscraper in downtown New York, and
It's like 30
they
monkeys on typewriters writing
It's
charms.
not. These are
Just
people
kidding.
who are passionate about their work and that they're trying to push the game out there. I'm taking this opportunity. I'm going to let my players speak for themselves. I'm taking this opportunity to say to everybody, not just John, who had to go through like hell,
Sounds like hell and back.
but everybody who did it. I know it took a long time. Fuck the haters on this one. This game's excellent.
Yeah.
I say that as somebody who's been playing White Wolf games from a very long time ago, and it's the sort of thing that I recognize had so much work get put into it, and so much heart has gone into this book. I can't wait to see what else is coming out in the Exalted line, because there is plenty. But I'm getting all choked up.
Yeah.
Or I swallowed a banana chip wrong.
Banana
But you guys need to understand there are going to be people who are going to have complaints about how long it took. And I understand that. You know, like Kickstarter sucks in some ways because there's always the chance that you're never going to get your stuff back. I really hope that everyone recognizes that this is the book they've been waiting for. Because it's amazing.
Yeah.
It
It's the
is.
book you are looking
It
for.
is. I mean, I'm excited about some of the other systems that the Onyx Path has been putting out. Like, I'm excited for Pugmire. I haven't looked at the system yet. I just love the concept. And I mean, I'm still fond of lots of other systems, but I think Exalted Third is probably my favorite at the moment.
Yeah, having...
If not for a long time.
Forever.
Well,
There will never be anything better.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Rip John. Somebody
wow.
help. Yes, Aragorn, I did. And I'm glad you know. So now you know what you must do.
Now I've seen perfection.
Help.
Everyone drink, and we'll see the future.
Uh-oh. Hey, the future looks a lot like the present.
It's not flavored.
That's not fun. So, yeah, just to jump on that, Kate, I've been, I mean, I think we've all, participated in various role-playing games. I've played in D&D, I've played in some World of Darkness, Pathfinder, and... Paranoia. Oh my god! Okay, sorry, that's something else.
But Paranoia is still pretty cool.
Paranoia is hilarious. And Exalted. And they
Soon
all...
Pugmire?
Fingers crossed. That would be
I want
awesome.
to.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to.
Yeah.
So, I just think they all bring different things to the table. But if I want to feel like a badass...
Yeah.
Well, because the world of... I mean, not to step on too many toes, but the world of darkness is about, you're at odds with forces that are more powerful than you, right? Or you're within a system that's kind of either oppressive or in trouble. D&D is about adventuring, so you're venturing into the unknown.
Yeah.
Exalted, there's a huge amount of conflict built into the setting. Nah, she's good. Unless we want to. Just for fun. There's a huge amount of conflict built into the setting because, you're one of like a couple hundred in the whole world and everyone wants to kill you. There's that. But
you're still a total motherfucker.
you're a badass!
Yeah, that's the thing.
So great.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah. And honestly, like, even that, which I love, but I've always loved that about Exalted, it's really, honestly, the new combat system just
Yeah, I agree.
feels so right. Like,
I can't wait until Liz can punch a hole in the world.
Yes. Also, it's very, like, there are moves that are very, like, superhero or anime-esque, like,
Yes.
punching someone into a wall, the wall cracking. Like, Liz did that in our, like, first or second session.
I threw Summer Blaze into a wall.
It was amazing.
It
She's
was
still
the best.
smarting.
I'm so happy for the system.
Was I about to say something about punching the... there's an old Kirby game, Kirby Superstar. One of the mini games in it was like
to try
a
to
karate
break
chop.
this- Yeah.
If you karate chop hard enough, you just crack the whole world in half. It's badass.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm imagining
Yeah.
for
I
Ray
mean,
right
like, Bessem tried that, being the anime, like, RPG.
You mean big eyes, small mouth?
Yes. And, like, it has all those things built into it, but it was a system that my friends were constantly trying to balance and, like, rework so it would actually be a solid system.
It's because the tri-stat system's not great.
Yeah, it's not.
Sorry.
So it's kind of great to have something that you can do those over-the-top insane things that you only ever see in make-believe.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
then the stunt system
more
enables
so.
that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
oh
Stunts
my
have been
God,
around
stunts.
since Exalted
Yeah.
1, so,
Yeah.
you know. But,
Question from you, John, by the way.
oh, yeah.
Well, for all of us.
Yeah, Crosshair's question is really interesting.
So I'm going to throw out this crosshair question. What would one give as advice to any D&D or Pathfinder players who come into Exalted? Changes to expect, things to leave behind, and so on, or any system for that matter. Leave all the rest of your polyhedral dice behind, because y'all only need D10s.
Also, get like 35 D10s.
Yeah.
Literally.
But like
a million.
at least 2 sets.
Do
You need a
yourself
fistful.
a favor.
Yeah, I think I have 20.
Do yourself a favor if you've been playing as many D10 focused games as I have, and just get one of these puppies and just get
Shut
a
up.
Wormwood dice vault, and then
And if anyone from Wormwood is watching,
and then whip out your.
But
Your
if
set
you
of
feel like you need
D10s.
more than that, then you may want to invest
Yeah.
in something like this, which
Those aren't all
holds
this is-
considerably more.
Or you can sew your own dice bench. Not that I have
whoa,
one.
Kate, are you serious?
What?
Are you kidding me? That's like the
I didn't
greatest
make
thing
this
ever.
one, but I did.
Oh,
I
okay.
did a lot.
That's so badass.
Yeah.
I gotta say, few things made me feel like more of a badass than having to use 2 hands to
Yeah.
hold my
Yeah.
attack dice.
Yeah.
That was satisfying.
Speaking of a bucket of D10s, at many conventions there will be a dude with like a bucket of dice that you can get a scoop of.
Like a
So
bucket.
you can just like scoop out all the D10s. You know, who cares if they match? Doesn't matter. There you go. You're ready to play.
So,
But to answer,
Yeah.
to answer your question, first things first, Exalted is based on the storyteller system. From Mark Reinhagen, hallowed be his name. The idea behind the storyteller system and characters in Exalted, compared to a game like D&D or Pathfinder, is that when you're creating your character, you're creating all of it. You're not just sort of assigning stats to your strength, dexterity, constitution, and then you gain power as you level up. You spend experience points like you would in a shop. Experience can buy, like 5 experience can buy you an extra dot in this, or 20 experience can buy you a dot in something that you already are very good at. So you can build your character kind of from the ground up where you want it to go, and you can even decide to shift focuses at certain places. Because what you're doing is you're not only building up your stats, but you're also building up your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And your abilities are as varied as your combat abilities, but also your ability to interact with the rest of the world. There's a lot more focus in Exalted on non-combat than in a game like D&D or Pathfinder, where even though they say that they allow for role-playing, and they do. I don't mean to say that they don't, or imply that they don't, but if you take a look at the book, 90% of it is focused a lot on how my character interacts with the systems, and those systems are very much based in combat. But this game is not.
Yeah.
Not as much. I mean, combat is still a huge part of it, and it's great, and it's fun, and
sometimes you gotta fight.
sometimes you gotta fight, and sometimes Jork shoots things, and sometimes Ray punches things, and sometimes Val breaks a spear.
Yes.
Oh
Or
no!
2.
I'm gonna get you the best spear.
Thank you, Derek.
Classic
I'm
Jordan.
gonna
You can buy
go
away.
next and say that one thing that you get with things like D&D and Pathfinder and Besem and a lot of the sort of D20 based systems is that you have classes, and so you're like, okay, well, I guess I want to be able to like stab people with a sword real good. I should be a fighter. You know, okay, maybe I want to be like lawful, maybe I'll be a paladin sort of thing. But you're sort of put into this box that you can eventually multi-class out of, but then there are penalties and there are challenges against it, so you're sort of stuck in it. Whereas with this, as much as there are the 5 castes, I'm sticking with just the solars because I don't know enough about the other classes in 3rd, or other...
Full moons, no moons, changing moons,
Ah!
night, moon shadow,
Yeah, exactly.
Help.
But
wood, fire, ear.
that's sort of a suggestion that you choose.
Ear.
I find that Exalted is a
Yeah.
system where you come with a character and you don't have to force them into a tiny little box. You can find a category that they live within that fits what their strengths are and what their personality is, and then it's just like, oh, I'm going to spend my experience on these charms, oh, and these charms, and those charms, and those charms, and you can just keep buying if you're like, oh yeah, Val like wasn't good at socializing before she started being here because she was sort of quiet and reserved. But now she's talking to people because she's trying to convince them. She realizes that she doesn't have time to write sermons, so she's instead like, you know, I'm putting points into getting good at socializing. And if I was in a different system, I might not have that opportunity. I might not be able to be really good at
Wait until 4 levels from now where I'm able to bump up my charisma by 2.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all I can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Wait,
Well,
guys, that
it's-
story, buddy.
you bring up a really good point, and I found it made me think very carefully about every single character that my character comes in contact with on a day-to-day, because John had mentioned, like, oh, you know, how many intimacies do you guys have right now? And I think each of us had, like, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And some of them were people that we didn't even, like, see
Yeah.
on a regular basis. He's like, okay, but you guys have, like, there's like 5 of you in the circle now. How do you feel towards each of these people? You should probably consider having an intimacy, even if it's a minor one. And that makes you think about how you feel towards like how each of these relationships is formed, and that really lends itself to the role playing the different scenes. So I love, once again, just a lot of love for the intimacy system, and I think that's because in our D&D game, I try to think about it, but for me, I just have like, you know, a backstory for my character that I just wrote out. It's a paragraph. It's not quantified in any, like, it's not broken down anywhere.
No. Yeah.
You know, it's just like in my brain.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's you might have a small guide to what your character's life is like, but I find from a role-playing game, intimacies is probably the closest thing I've come to how I would probably categorize my life. Right? What is the thing that drives me as a human being every day? Who are the people I want to interact with? What are the places I want to interact with? You know, what would I protect? What would I hate? You know, etc. And this sense of, like, defining major, minor. And, of course, then the power of Exalted come into it, because the Exalted are the kind of people that can literally persuade you to do something that you don't either that you don't want to do, or that, you know what I mean? Like, there's that sense as well. It's
Unacceptable influence!
Because that should exist. There should be something that can, you know, make your character make like a deal or a bargain that they wouldn't normally do because this person has something on them, you know? I think that's a really compelling, and you as the player, you're like, but I want to get out of this, I want to win this situation, but at the same time, these situations of failure are often more interesting.
And what's great is that it's the Onyx Path.
the Onyx Path is here!
Super excited.
Yeah!
Super excited.
Sorry.
But about, the intimacies and your ability to sort of deal with that socially. In other systems, there isn't as much of a system for that, in that, like, it's more based on, is the player good at sort of figuring out what the other players around the table are about? How much has a player given away in character? You know, are you really socially adept as yourself, or are you not? Whereas this system makes up for more than just being able to talk good, where you can roll some dice to make up for not having good phrasing, but it has the intimacies, which means that even if, like, I'm like, I don't really know what makes Jorik tick, Val might be able to figure it out through certain tactics, through certain charms and abilities, so it makes up for
being
places. You don't have to be the world's best.
It's funny that you
most
bring that
insightful
up.
person.
It's funny that you bring that up, because it's actually a different thing from my perspective. First, I'm just going to say for the crosshair, exactly, like, if you use lockpicking a lot and you decide that, like, oh, well, I should be better at larceny, which is the skill in Exalted which would deal with lockpicking, then you increase your larceny because you've chosen to do so.
Yeah.
Not because the game has decided that you level these skills up, which I really like. But what's interesting what you say about intimacy is one of the things that I love is that I often struggle as a GM with newer players, specifically, where I say, okay, well, I'm threatening your husband. He's got, like, I've got an NPC and I've got his husband and I've got a knife to his sword, and I was like, don't you dare take another step. And they're like, well, I'm going to take another step and put a bullet through his head because I'm a badass and that's how I'm going to do things because I'm a player character, right? And, like, you have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want to play in that game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can totally play in that game, and that's fine. But intimacies are a way that I, as a storyteller, can manipulate my players in a way that they understand as part of the game, right? Like, I can
feel bad.
Yeah, well, it's because you do end up feeling bad sometimes if you've got a player and you want to have your player do something, if you want to put a character in a situation which isn't the ideal for the players, it's very hard to do that. And nobody really likes being like, okay, so this guy's going to intimidate you. I rolled a 30, so
You are intimidated.
you're intimidated, so do what I say. And players still rail against that as much as they can. Intimacies make it so that you can kind of be like, oh no, yeah, I totally would. Like, I have to take care of my starving sister, or oh geez, like I never said that I'd betray my circle's trust, so I don't have to. It can protect you.
Yeah.
It can protect you in things that you can say, like, I never want to betray my circle, and then you can have that as an intimacy, as a defining intimacy. I shall never betray my friends, in which case I can't force you, or if I do, I have to make it extremely difficult. But I can also use that against you and say, well, you said you'd never betray your circle, and there's this person who's going to kill your circle if you don't give up this information. You're not betraying them, but you are leaving them to die if you don't do it, and then it gives them that opportunity to sort of roleplay their weaknesses as well as their strengths.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And players who realize that it's just as fun to fail or be put in trouble as it is to win have more fun. And this game kind of enables that.
Hate Wheel, that statistic frightens me.
Yeah,
But I love
that's
it.
sort of what I was getting at when I said,
Holy
like,
shit!
there's so many more charms. And yeah, I think that is part of it. It's not just that there are more charms, that some of them are really, like, it's not just, okay, you guys were, like, feeling creative that day and decided to be verbose. No, there's a lot to one charm. Like, as...
I'm feeling verbose.
Yeah, well, no,
I'm
but
sorry,
that's
no,
the
I'm
thing.
sorry.
Like, when I first encountered, like, when I was first buying my charms, I was sort of really skimming. I was only looking at certain trees and things, and I encountered the fast writing technique, whirling brush method.
Whirling brush method.
And it's a chunk of text, and I was like, what the heck? And then I was like, okay, I'll summarize this so I can stick it on my character sheet. I'm like, no, there's too many specifics that give you the details about what's going on when you use this charm that I can't really just be like, yeah, I write fast. I mean, that's what's on my character sheet, but I printed out the whole charm because it's specifics about what it does, and each one has been so intensely crafted. And there's some that are like an entire like column in
It's
the
very
book.
rich.
And it's because
They do.
one charm can do so many things, and it's just so cool. So cool. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I have a question for everybody.
Yeah, I guess we didn't go around the circle and talk about our characters.
Well,
Is that what we
no.
were going to do?
That was going to be my question.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Well, because then it also is going to lead back to you. I was going to ask
Nothing
if...
leads back to me.
Yikes.
Not important.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a player character.
No, John's
Player
gonna walk us
character.
through every single NPC.
No, I'm
right.
gonna address it in a way that hopefully that won't happen. No offense. I love all the NPCs. Help. No, but I was curious what people, just speaking of a world in which you can really get invested and excited about. Oh my god, cats. Excuse me. Get the F up! Thank you. Delicious. Bastards. So, I was going to ask what people's inspirations were for their characters, either mechanical or storytelling based. And then I was going to ask John, essentially the same question, but more in a sense of like, what were your big inspirations in terms of the story you wanted to tell? Now, obviously, we're telling a ton of different stories, and there's a whole ton of NPCs. So this is specifically within #ExalTwitch.
I'll do my best not to give a joke answer.
Every second Sunday right here on twitch.tv/John Barrow.
And sometimes every Sunday.
And sometimes every Sunday.
Sometimes we can't help ourselves. It's
Yeah.
No,
basically
seriously.
what that came down to.
Oh my god.
We totally
Waiting
didn't
the
have
2
to.
weeks between like last stream and this one is like it's
Let me sum up that feeling
killing
for
me.
us. Okay. I don't know if people want to jump in, and then we can go John last.
Great.
Or, whatever. It's a round table. We're having fun. We're around the
Table
table.
is not round.
Help.
Well,
Aaron, when
I mean, I don't.
Dude.
I'm okay with starting. So it's funny because anyone who watches me play Skyrim every Friday, my brawl only character would think that that's the type of character I always play, and that is actually not true. In all my other RPG and all my other tabletop games that I've ever participated in, it's been I love playing archers. I love playing spellcasters.
Your previous Exalted character that you played with me was a Twilight cast sorcerer.
Yeah, very like book oriented. They're all about the like learning their spells and improving their minds and stuff. And so Ray was actually supposed to be me sort of like branching out of that and someone who's like, acts first and thinks later and doesn't have any weapons. She's just all about like
The action, yeah.
So that combined with Punchy, it really does seem that that's like just what I do. It's not. It's just interesting timing. But yeah, that was my inspiration. Just a kind of street urchin who had to fight in the pits in order to make money. I liked the idea of her having her dad who was ill that she was trying to support. And I liked the idea that she grew up in Nexus and that's the only town she's known.
Can I ask what a crayon-colored person is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you mean someone
man.
colored by...
She colored us with... She colored
I
that
was about
drawing with crayons?
Or is he, like, specifically a color that Crayola makes?
Yeah.
If any Crayola people are watching...
I'm not a...
Razzle Dazzle. He's Razzle Dazzle color. That's my favorite Crayola color.
I am so happy. I am so happy to hear
Oh, I
that.
love it. It's not even a real word! I love it.
Korva.
Here, I'm going to find some
Embarrassing.
cool art to put
Yeah,
up while you
what's
guys
up?
are talking about
Yeah.
your
Hello, Ryoki!
Crosshair, I really like your question. We will address it afterwards.
I think John started addressing
Yeah,
it, so we
he
can talk
has.
a bit more about it.
But Val's inspiration.
Yeah.
I mentioned this during one of our streams during the break, but when I first played Exalted, I was playing Twilight Cast. We're in modern times, so I was a hacker. It was cool. I loved it, and I really loved the system, even though it was a heavily modified like storyline version of it. There was an album that was very like it was very technological in sound, which is why I associated with my character. And there were mentions of the sun and like things that very much. And there was like a song that was like in this twilight, and all these like references to things in relation to solars. But it's very much like we're the best, we're right, you're wrong. Like very like I'm a badass, and I'm the like best person on earth. And so that's sort of what the seed for Val was. And as much as I'm not playing her quite so jerkily, I think that a lot of that comes from she has the potential to be that, and she might go there. And she sort of was that way before she became Exalted. It was only the fact that she had to run and hide from the wild hunt and everything that's going on, sort of taken her ego down a notch. But I do think that she has the potential to get back up there and to be a total jerk. And I want to play that as much as because me as a person, I like to help people and be helpful. So I
Not
think it's
be a
fun
jerk, right, yeah.
to have that opportunity to be someone very much not.
Do you think that you're aiming to get to that place, or do you think that may be a place that you'll get to depending on what happens in the story?
I think it's something that I'm trying to keep in my pocket and remind myself of on a regular basis. Like this is the seed, and I want to see if I can get there. And if the situation continues to develop and it just never happens, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Fate, that sounds scary. Real Brick Wall, I agree. Perhaps we should talk about the Great Curse, and specifically how, oh my god, cats!
Well, first, let's
Oh yeah,
about Mr.
yeah.
Mr.
Well,
Jorick.
because I think that figures into it. I just think what's come up so far, what seems to be the sort of thing that's tying us all together here a little bit, is that I think we all chose to make characters a little bit based on faults or weaknesses,
Yeah.
right? Or things that are maybe not shining white knights.
Yeah.
You know? And so my inspiration as well, I already mentioned this to either Henshi or Cthulhu or somebody on Twitter. There's a wonderful scene near the end of season 1 of Daredevil. Obviously this is not specifically...
Won't spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything. But there's a character that had a wonderful one-on-one scene in that show, whose job and whose role within that world was to be the right-hand man of somebody. He was a power broker, essentially. And the point of the Exalted, and this is kind of where the Great Curse comes in, a little bit, it's not all of the Solar Exalted are quote-unquote good, in the way that, say, D&D has a lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good kind of system.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody who will use the power that they will be given. So if that's somebody who wants to defend the poor of their region or their dad, if that's somebody who wants to spread the good news and maybe be a jerk about it, or if that's someone who wants to just broker power and be really ambitious. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of wonderful excitement in there. Anyway, so my inspiration is from Daredevil, the Marvel/Netflix series, and the character of Wesley from the show. Specifically a scene where he talks about what his job is and what he wants to do with his life and so on. And I was like, what if that person exalted? The heck would that look like?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the jumping off point.
So, those are our 3 PCs. It's interesting that the 3 of you kind of get along, even though you do have different reasons for wanting to achieve a similar goal. And you also all have different goals, yet they still all drive towards the same end result. So I'm kind of curious as to whether or not you think that might ever fall apart.
It could.
It might. I mean, I think right now there are a lot of people who want us dead, and we found a little group who doesn't want us dead, and so we're staying together. I think our partnership at the moment is on very like a short term kind of. Nobody's thinking too far ahead, which is cool.
Nobody's
It's
thinking.
just like, let's get through the day.
You mean too far
Okay,
ahead,
we're
right?
all together. We're all still alive. We're all still helping each other. Great. Let's do the next 24 hours. Like,
Let me tell you what it's like to storytell this game.
Oh boy.
I get up in the morning. I often,
Damn it, John.
as a kind of a thing that I do when I wake up, is I tend to stay in bed, I grab my iPad, and I do things like I check my email, my social media, that kind of stuff. Just as a way, I start work right as the instant that I wake up. And often my work is, oh, there's a question from Liz. Oh, it's about charms. It's specifically about, okay. And it's gratifying. I have to say, I've run a lot of games. I love this group just because of how invested they are in the game, but it's also interesting because this is all of our first time running a game with an audience. And it's the sort of thing that, as performers, you always like to have an audience. You know, in a way, it's sort of, you get sort of addicted to that. And at the same time, role-playing can often be a very private experience for me. It's a place where you can sort of let it all out, and you can invest emotion in your character, or you can invest that sheer bloodlust. You delve into the wackier parts of your psyche or the darker parts of your psyche. And now we're all doing it in front of you bastards. So my day when I do this is interesting, but more than anything, I'm just so surprised at how my players have just been like talking about it. We have our Facebook chat, which changes names. At one point, it was Bacon Days Pork Buns.
Yeah.
I think now it's hashtag half a second.
Hashtag half second, yeah.
Just take
Have
hashtag half a second.
we been to Bacon Days Pork Buns with this group of
It's been
people?
way too long.
I don't know if we've done it on stream.
No,
Whoa,
I think
Bacon
it's
Days
pretty
Pork Buns!
Oh yeah, because I was eating pork buns during your fight in the arena,
Yeah.
but that was because I had bought extra, of course. So
They
I
were
had a bag of them.
They were pocket pork buns.
Yeah, pocket pork buns.
Kate's judging, but it's okay. It's okay.
So I mean, if you want to know where I get my NPCs from, it's a interesting question. It's also have to think of how I can do this without necessarily revealing everything about them.
You definitely don't, yeah.
But what's interesting to me is also I can create NPCs based off your intimacies.
Yes.
So there's part of that. One of the advantages of having roleplayed for so long is that I have a past that I can look back and I can sort of say like, okay, well, that character worked. What elements from this character can I pull? And what elements from that character that I can pull? Speaks of Silence, for instance. I've used that name before, but not but the personality was entirely different. Speaks of Silence was a Black Fenris Galliard that I played. That's part of Werewolf the Apocalypse that I played
Nice.
For quite some time, and she was very much somebody who was focused on telling stories about death. And
Nice.
about how, and she never referred to death as death. She always referred to it as silence. So if somebody died, she'd say this person is silent, as
Yeah.
opposed to this person is dead.
Right.
You know, like that kind of storyteller flair that she had. So, but then Black Fenris. Oh yeah, I played Black Fenris. The reason why he might be asking is that Black Fenrises are, Black Fury. What am I saying?
I was gonna be like,
Okay, so yeah, you're totally correct. I'm the idiot. Yeah, it's a Black Fury, not a Black
Yay!
Fenris. Get a Fenris is a different tribe. Black Fury is what I mean. And the thing about Black
So
Furies is that
silence
they're all female or male métis, but that's another thing entirely. But I pulled the name because I liked the name a lot, and also that Lunar Exalted are vaguely reminiscent of werewolves, right? One of the interesting things about Exalted is that it pulls on a lot of what the World of Darkness are, in terms of you have the Abyssal Exalted, which you can kind of link to vampires. You have the Lunar Exalted, which you can link to werewolves. You could have the Fair Folk, which you can link to changelings. Mage is kind of already sort of covered in the sorcerers that you have. You can even make the case that Liminal Exalted kind of matches Prometheus, but that's a different thing. But it's Get a Fury, yeah, totally. So sometimes I pull a name and then I think, okay, but Speaks of Silence is very much not a dour, I only talk about death and I'm very sort of like straight-laced. Oh dear.
Excuse us.
Okay.
no, they're gonna knock it over.
Yeah, they're knocking over computers. This is why we played at tables now instead of on couches.
Hey.
They
Um,
still find ways to mess it up. The little
Yeah.
darlings.
The most recent NPC that I've introduced is actually hasn't even yet appeared in game. It's Tepid Exquisite Tide.
Yeah.
Who, you've seen that letter. I asked for the letter to be posted in the chat. I'm going to ask if somebody could just repost that link. that
Yes,
the
Crosshair, you
put up.
just posted the link. If you could post it again.
Copy paste.
No, I didn't think that it would be accidental hate wheel. That's actually one of the things that I like about Exalted is that there's these tiny little calls. Because there was also at one point there was some idea that Exalted is the world before the world of darkness, and then it like many years later it became our world, and then there are remnants, but that's actually a good point, that maybe there was a challenge for the liminal. But there's a fun part for me about creating an NPC and then introducing her as a letter. Because now all you know is how she's written or what she's written, right? There's no inflection, there's no voice, there's no there's just the letter. And
Which is now posted in the chat, which you should only read if you are caught up on our streams or have read the synopses on our website.
well,
Although,
Otherwise,
It's
you
not
might be a
too
little
bad.
lost.
yeah, right.
I guess it doesn't spoil anything, but you just might be confused.
yeah, you might be a little confused. I love this book, by the way. I'm just picking it up because I want to.
We mentioned we love
Pretty.
the book.
Oh my gosh. And I don't know whether it's higher res in the new version or whether I just decided it was because it just looks so much nicer.
that's how resolution works, right?
I don't know.
think
I don't
it's
know.
higher res.
Then maybe
Nice.
I was just so excited about it, it felt like it was brighter and prettier and
Aw.
sharper.
But in
Thanks,
terms of the rest of my NPCs, they kind of just draw from, characters that I've created, or they are created as a necessity and then develop
Right.
as time goes on. But I'm not quite sure how to answer your question without sort of getting into specifics,
No, that was my thought.
or without going through all of them.
And I think we
Yeah.
talked about this a little bit the other day. Are they created as reactions to us or to the plot? And the answer is sometimes. And sometimes it's just like, I think this would be awesome.
Well, yeah, and you had
Sometimes
also
that
said
happens.
that sometimes
Don't
you don't
even.
think too far about what you hope will happen with your NPCs. It's just that you're like, I'm going to introduce a character who feels this way, just to see how we react, and then you kind of leave it open to see what we do.
Well, that's...
So like the Magistrate or
Yeah.
Ember and Summer Blaze, like that all could have gone very differently depending on how we reacted in the first couple of
absolutely.
meetings, right?
Yeah, where you meet the magistrate and you're just like, oh, you're so amazing. Everything you say is liquid gold coming out
Jork
of
had
your
just
mouth.
given it up. Maybe
Yeah.
we'd be in a different...
What's the it in that sentence?
Your integrity, Jork.
Excellent.
Wow.
Nice one.
You know,
Nice.
never gonna give it up.
Don't think Ray could
I'm
do
gonna
that
give you
ever.
a damn it.
No. Liz can. Ray cannot.
But I will let you down.
Oh,
I will make you heard.
never
Oh
gonna-
boy.
Help. Ooh.
Where were we? Oh yeah, NPCs. We just talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It makes me think that, like, I've never played a game with John before. So we got into the first session. He is just a completely different play style from anyone I've ever played with. And so his NPCs are, like, so, I mean, he's an actor, writer. He seems to be good at creating characters on the fly and making them unique rather than just, like, putting on a sort of okay accent or just a different
Yes,
vocal
welcome to
quality.
shop. I have many
Yes.
things to
Look,
sell.
okay, I haven't
Gadget
ever...
have wares.
You guys are the first actual actors, rather than people who think they're actors, that I've ever played
actual
with.
actors.
If you have
I
coin.
mean, you know, we all
Thanks,
think
man.
that we can do stuff, but
Really
so
good.
I think it's great in that sense. But then it's really interesting to still be able to catch you sometimes, like that moment that I want to watch back. I still haven't watched back
Dude,
last session,
it is awesome.
but when I was like, oh, by the way, and then John's face dropped, I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
he wasn't expecting that.
through him.
Oh!
It was
That was
really
great.
cool.
It's fun. There's only like 3 instances since we started streaming that you can really tell that happened. That was
Yeah.
one of them.
Hi, out of order show. Welcome.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Oh.
So then all I have to do is essentially just, get to the point where you throw me for a loop and then say, I can't do this, stand up, walk out
Flip
of
the table.
Whoa,
Yeah.
the table.
just like flick the camera. And
And just to go back, Aragorn says that she was spamming
Yeah.
Liz and John ever since reading the letter, but she and I have been messaging back and forth because, like, sometimes I feel like these guys don't want to hear all my speculations. And I don't like speculating around John because then I'm worried that he's going to change what he's going to do.
That is very
That's
true.
true.
That's
So
very
now
good.
I'm like, okay, I've got, like, I need another outlet.
What do I
don't
start?
want to
Do
talk
I need to
these guys
start
because we're all in the
sending
same
my
game.
advanced plots to like some trusted audience members so that I can be like, I
Lock
swear
it
I'm
in
not
the vault.
changing
Yeah.
it on
Yeah, I
you?
was
That's
gonna say
true,
you just
yeah.
need to literally lock it in the
Actually,
vault
that's
every week.
interesting. It makes me think of when season 2 of Lars was being launched, and like people in the first couple episodes are like, "I think X, Y, and Z are gonna happen." Ha ha ha! And it was like sometimes they're completely wrong, and sometimes they called a few things. And it's like, yeah, but it's written, it's produced. Like you guys aren't influenced.
But with this one,
But with this one,
there's
it isn't.
much
It's like as much
more.
as John may have plans,
So,
You mean, as much as I have plans, I can always
change
fuck with
them,
them?
and other people can possibly accidentally or purposefully influence it.
Oh,
Aragorn, you're allowed to make grabby hands, but I don't know if I'd want to ruin anyone's fun by telling them what's going
it's
to happen
true.
in the
I like
future.
our system, which is like, okay, so in this situation, one of 5 things could happen, and
Yeah.
we detail every single
Oh, boy.
possibility. So it's not like we're assuming anything's going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
going
yeah.
to come to pass. It's
Yeah.
just like, all right, guys, let's
Yeah.
explore every option.
getting more.
So I'm going to throw things open to the chat for a second.
Yeah, we're at about
We've been doing a
halfway
lot of
anyway.
talking.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, we're a little past halfway. We are going to end at 10 p.m., so
Kate can
that's in
sleep.
55
And so
minutes.
that, people
Uh,
who, it'll be 6 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, we're ending pretty... Like, we're keeping it short because I have a really early day tomorrow and a really long day tomorrow. I haven't slept well for a long time. So...
So what we're going to do is we're going to throw things over to the chat. And what I want to ask you guys, first off, I do have to say thank you so much for your hashtag guest blanks. That's been a really interesting thing for me
Yeah,
to do.
that's cool.
Hashtag guest reactions actually been the most interesting right now, so we'll see if I can throw some of that out there.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask from you guys, if you have any questions for either the players, the storyteller, or the group as a whole, you can ask about either ExalTwitch itself, you can ask about its characters, or you can ask about Exalted, and we can do our best to answer our own opinions. But remember, we do have, because we're that lucky, we do have some excellent Onyx Path folk.
Yeah.
We have developers, and we have I don't know, I'm lucky that we have that, and Scott's off doing some other junk. So
Probably
I should say, though,
cats.
that Hate Wheel and the Onyx Path aren't actually obligated to answer your questions. This is our stream. They can answer if they so choose.
They might not even be real.
They could be figments of our
They could just be bots that we've put into the chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Crosshair has
Confuse you.
toughies for us.
No way. Though Crosshair sent out at least my secret challenge, I assume you sent yours as well.
Yeah,
and
Scott got his as well.
Mine was like, well, I think that I can do that. I don't know if I can do it next session.
And mine was like, I think I can do a version of that. Are we cool if we... And
Yeah.
Crosshair was like, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
Crosshair's allowed for a little
I'm
bit
not
of
sure what your
flexibility.
exact title is, Ian. Is the problem.
There's always
guy
one at
who
every
pretends
company.
to be the entirety or the only Onyx Path.
I mean, because I don't know if I can...
Manage,
Like, you're not... Yeah.
God?
So, Ian, there's my question, or my first question to you guys. Ian, what's your title?
Oh!
What do you do?
What's your job
Ian has
description?
left the chat.
Ian has...
Click.
The Onyx Path has...
Ian, where's the name?
Ian
That,
Webster.
it's an important role. I mean, all joking aside.
Ian, first of his name. Bearer of the Path.
Community manager.
Community manager,
Well,
there
you
we
do
go.
a
Hey, we're a
fantastic
community.
Job.
And
Yeah,
that's a very
commu-
important job.
You're literally
Community.
managing us. There you go.
Manage us. Manage
Oh,
us.
apparently my laptop was not plugged in, so I'm just gonna do that.
Oh,
Rip cats.
Cats.
It may have been the cats, it may not have been.
It's
It was
definitely the
totally
cats.
the cats. Yep, it's unplugged partway through.
wow.
Cats with goats.
Classic.
You should do
Fun
this.
fact.
This is what Ian just
What is
tweeted.
happening?
Yeah.
When
What?
is Thanksgiving in the Nexus?
What?
So Aragorn has this idea
Yeah, we need a
that,
fun celebration.
that gathering
sounds
all of the
serious.
NPCs and PCs in one location and just seeing how it reacts as if they were all sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner. I will tell you that if I got all the named NPCs in one place, along with the PCs, several people may sit down, but fewer people would stand up again at the end of the meal.
Don't you?
Wow.
Yeah.
Forget
John does not F around.
I think we knew that from the get-go.
That's correct.
So here's a question from Kung Fu Fenris. If you guys could play another Exalted type, which one would that be?
I am digging the Lunars, actually.
Mm.
I think I would go Lunar.
Once you go Lunar,
You don't go sooner.
Yep.
you get to play sooner?
You get to...
Sidereal?
You would.
I love the idea
You
of
would
the,
want
like,
to play
looms.
Sidereal.
No, like the the loom of fate is. No, that's just a yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean the concept is kind of lives in other mythologies as well.
But which of the 5 maidens would you follow?
See that because I don't know them well enough. I know there's endings and serenity
Mm-hmm.
and
Battle.
and yeah, Scott's so serious.
That's so
No,
Scott.
there's something about seeing the future that's so Raven.
That's
I
so
can't
Scott.
choose. I would. For me though, I almost always make my characters based on. I have an idea for a person, and then I figure out what they fit into. So I can't really answer that. Sorry, guys.
Cool dream, cool
I'm
dream.
married to Val right now.
Yeah, secrets, endings, battles, journeys, and serenity.
Journeys. I am a Sagittarius.
And
Secrets sounds
as,
badass.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
as an example, Starlight Dove has previously identified herself. although-
Jupiter.
Yes,
Gonna
Jupiter.
jump
Not
right
Serenity.
Yes.
Not even close.
Actually, yeah, Jupiter followed closely by Venus.
No.
I don't cook.
Oh, sorry.
Well, then you would be a maiden of Serenity.
What?
That's
the
or no, that's Venus. Serenity is Venus. Jupiter is battles or endings.
I think she's battles, isn't she?
That would be
Okay.
Mars.
Oh, Mars might be battles. It's
Yeah.
true. Jupiter
Mars
might be
might be battles.
endings.
Sailor Mars.
My favorite
The
Sailor
Onyx
Scout,
Path.
Sailor Jupiter.
It used to be Amy,
Done
but
and
now
done.
it's Venus. Sorry, Mercury.
Hate wheel, ignoring the real questions here.
So
Jupiter's
Hellbreak,
secret's okay.
new player. You don't have to read the entirety of E3 before even starting a PC or understanding the basic.
Yeah, because Kate still hasn't.
Hey!
Endings.
I hate reading things on screens. I'm sorry, but I've read all of the story chapter. I haven't read all of the regions, but anyway.
Yeah.
What you need to read is you need to get. You want to look at. There's so much in this. But you're looking at the casts, assuming you're going with the Solar Exalted, which is what the book focuses on. You're looking at the casts. You're gonna have to look at some of the systems and combat information, and then honestly, talk to people. Fortunately, there are people. Talk to us. Go on Reddit. Like, talk to resources. If you're daunted by the entirety of the book, talk to people. And I think that's how we got through the initial hurdle, was sort of talking like, okay, I understand this, but I don't understand that, and sort of figuring out what you need to know and what information you've missed out on. So you don't have to read the whole book. And charms, like, don't read them all. You'll forget them before you finish them.
Yeah.
There's just so much there. So start with your character and then pick the charms that you're interested in.
Yeah, the character creation chapter, I think, is probably your best place to start,
Yeah.
because it includes information about casts
And read a couple of the stories.
Yes.
It's a good way to get
The stories are fantastic.
It's a good way to get a
I
handle.
find, as Kate was saying, talking about it with friends, like, if you read a few chapters and a friend of yours also reads a few chapters, then you guys can, like, sum up what each of your sections of the book was about, and then you're starting a discussion, and you're also, distilling it down to
great idea.
The essence.
Sorry.
The essence of each
Hey,
section.
Ramel.
Okay, so John, you'll take the charms chapter. All right, so can you imagine all of it?
So the crosshair asks, why Exalted?
Personal drama on an epic battlefield.
High five me. That's boss.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with non-combat badassery.
Nice.
It's not a sentence, but
I think it's specifically like, as much as in other systems you can be great, or you can jump to 20th level in D&D and be great. I think it's great. The thing that I love about Exalted is that you, like, Solars, they aren't, you don't exalt if you won't do anything with it. You're chosen because you're someone that will do something about it, that you have that potential and you will act on it. So you are starting with a character that is super awesome, even if they're a bookworm and that's what they do. They've got, like, linguistics maxed out and occult and, like, all of those nerdy things. Doesn't matter, they're still the most badass nerd on Earth.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That
Or
was an
on
amazing
in creation.
sentence. Amazing sentence.
To remember, right? You're one of 300, or
Yeah, whatever
a
it
couple
is.
hundred. Like there's
Yeah. You're the chosen ones.
yeah.
I play Exalted because, in all honesty, I tire sometimes of standard fantasy tropes, and Exalted gives me a different world
Non-standard
that I can
fantasy.
play in. Well, because it's more Eastern flavored than Western flavored fantasy, but it gives me a world that I can play in where I kind of don't feel like, once again, I've got elves and dwarves and halflings and, it's a game where I can fully indulge my love of role-playing compared to dice rolling, but in a different place. In a place that I feel like I have a lot of stories to tell. So, that's
150 for Solars in the Age of Sorrows. Wow. Yikes.
Good night.
Night, Jen.
We love you, Lydia.
Edge of the Empire. Yeah, I've actually been meaning to have a look
The
at
new
that.
FFG.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
FFG
New
ones,
stuff.
because they have
That's
Edge of the
it.
Empire, and
Yeah,
then they have Force and Destiny and different kind of...
Crosshair, did you ask that question specifically so we'd have like fun quotes? for
Crosshair
the
looks
website?
like- he's
you
a-
are the PR master.
He's a plant from the Onyx Path.
Yeah, seriously. He's been a plant since before we started streaming
Yeah.
this.
Since before LARPs.
Yeah.
Since before
Ryoki asks,
Unicorn.
evocations. What would be your dream evocations or artifact theme for that matter for your characters? So I'm actually going to expand that a little bit because evocations, I don't even... Kate's like, oh god.
I, like, skimmed it because I knew I wasn't going to use them.
Wow.
I'm going to actually expand that then. Like, what kind of artifacts would you be interested in having your characters either acquire or see?
The Unbreakable Spear.
The Unbreakable Spear. Actually, to be serious, the
Because I can use
idea...
it to, like, pry things open. It'd be cool. It'd be a tool.
Well, the idea of a Zenith cast having something that can't be broken,
That's
I think
exactly
is really
it.
flavorful.
Yeah.
I really quite like
Yeah,
that.
So you want a spear that I just can't break?
Yeah.
I can break anything I want.
I know.
You are halt. Crosshair.
Even
it's
if
about time
no,
you
no,
accepted
you
it.
can't break it, but you'll throw it into a volcano, and I can't get into the bottom of the volcano. So good enough.
Not until you buy some more resistance charms.
Yeah.
Because there are resistance charms that would let you walk into a volcano.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Haven't
Picnic.
looked at those.
Okay.
What about you guys? What do you guys
Oh,
want?
Cat got to the modem. Oh, we're down.
No!
Bell.
Excuse
we're
us.
back. Oh, we're back. No, stop.
Okay.
Don't touch anything, Scott.
Just looking.
See if the little green light is on.
Are we still recording for when we?
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, great. Hey guys.
Hi.
So what was the last thing you all heard?
Was it picnics?
Oh shit!
Picnics suck.
Off and back and off again. Hold on.
Thank God.
Hold on. Wait for it.
It looks like we're still streaming, so yeah.
Picnics suck.
Yeah. Apparently.
Knowing that about why you chose Exalt, does that make modern RPGs an alternative superhero modern? Yeah. Part of the reason why I choose Exalted, because I grew up on D10 games like World of Darkness, and Exalted just is pretty freaking awesome. So.
Oh yeah, what weapons Kate would like. Yes. So we need to hear that again.
An unbreakable spear, because my spear keeps getting broken in game, and as Scott said, it would be really cool for a Zenith cast.
What if I gave you a
Absolutely
spear that would break, and every time it broke, it just kind of reforged itself?
That's okay.
That's-
And I could like do
But then it still breaks.
a check
Because then you could go
or like
to prove a point.
Why do we fall down,
sticks.
Mr. Wayne?
What
So we
do
can
you
get
call-
back up again.
What do you
Shut
call
up,
the sticks
Alfred.
that Daredevil uses? John, what do you call the sticks that Daredevil uses?
What?
Spoiler
The one that he
alert.
got in season 2?
Well, he has
Spoiler
two little
alert.
sticks.
Like either Tonfa or Eskrima
Tonfa?
sticks.
Because aren't Tonfa with
Tonfa
little-
have the handle.
Yeah.
Eskrima sticks are just
So
sticks.
I'd have Eskrima sticks. There we go. I like it.
Freaking badass.
Thank you.
That's what I'm drawing for.
Thank you.
Aaron's
Oh,
design.
so if everyone draws you something, then I have to give it to you? Is that how it
No,
goes?
it
Maybe that is how
yes.
it goes.
Yeah, everyone, you know
thank
what I'm
you.
Oh my
talking
God,
about.
cats, help,
They're so excited.
Help.
Did you feed them?
help.
You fed them, didn't you?
Of course I did. I had to. Help.
I like how we're
A
chastising
cloak
them.
of smokeless fire.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Kung Fu Fenris. Because we were talking about the Twilight crafting kind
Yeah,
of, well,
yeah.
the idea of that. I was thinking about clothing, artifact clothing. I would love, and I mean, obviously there are charms that kind of do this, so you wouldn't necessarily need the artifact, but the idea of either a circlet or a crown or a cloak that, you know, that something that would kind of either mute your anima or reduce.
I thought that was the point that you couldn't, no matter what.
Well, in night casts, so there's some there's some charms in Larceny and stuff where you can mute your banner, but
Wow.
which is pretty boss.
Yeah.
But something that would make you unreadable, right? The idea of like the mystery, right? And of course, there's socialized charms to that effect.
Well, you could always just contact the Mask of Winters. Yeah, don't do that.
Ray
right.
wants a bag of limitless pork buns.
Yep. I love it.
Because
That's
you
it.
don't need no artifact.
I mean,
Crunch,
honestly,
crunch.
sometimes I wonder, like, oh, should I be looking for artifact gloves or something? But it just, the
Brass
whole point of her
knuckles.
character was supposed to be that she didn't want to rely on any, stuff. Exactly. And so it feels kind of strange thinking in those terms for her. Eventually that could very well change, especially if John might have a brainwave that I don't have. Happens a lot. But yeah, for now I have a hard time thinking of that.
So someone was watching Bokusatsu Tenshi Dokuro-chan, huh?
Whoa.
Club to Death Angel Dokuro-chan. It's an anime from like when I was role-playing a lot, so 10 years ago.
Artifact
Where
includes
it was
the
like
story.
apparently razor sharp, the halo. Oh my god. So many Kickstarters.
Oh.
Kick all the starts.
Do you have a whole
He does.
text file
Sorry.
folder dedicated to
Bunny does.
You might.
Oh, Bunny. Stop being so cool. Really.
It's a challenge. We like other players who
See,
don't.
no need for artifacts. Ray's the only artifact Ray needs.
Pointy Man 2K, welcome. Or, I'm not sure. He's nice.
So the Crosshair asks, what is a challenge you would give the other players, or me for that matter? So what would you do to challenge each other? People like us could be heroes. Very nicely said, literal snail.
Thanks, Aragon.
How would you challenge? Fine. Well, let's you know what, just so that we can avoid the whole round table on this. What would you do to challenge me?
Yikes.
Maybe you could try to stop sucking, John.
Point.
Why would I want to challenge the storyteller. You're doing good things for us by
Yeah.
running the game.
Yeah. And challenge me the wrong way, and you just might find yourself in the wrong end of a TBK.
Oh shit!
I don't know whether you-
But John,
you
I
don't
asked you
feel
that question. You didn't have to
spiteful.
kill them. Oh shit!
I guess I would maybe... My challenge would be for one session for none of your NPCs to directly interact either with dialogue or with physical action with each other. I don't want to give away anything that happened last session just in case people aren't caught up, but one of the NPCs attacked another NPC, and it was an action that none of us had taken. It was John acting on one of John's characters, and I wonder, like,
When
if
will
he
the
hadn't
John
done
and Jump
that,
violence stop?
if he hadn't done that, would we have just like stood around doing nothing forever, or would we have been forced to take a completely different? So that would be my challenge, I guess, would be to like force us to make the call.
Stream's
'cause
not
I'm
going
not saying
anywhere
what
till you
happened was
do
bad,
something.
not at all. But if I was thinking of a challenge, I think that's what.
Okay, so you wake up, and everyone's dead.
Okay.
You're the only
There
three
we go.
people left alive.
Well, that does.
Solars
world?
win!
Well,
So there's the one creation.
I guess we have to repopulate. Most efficient would be for both of us, spirit children. Let's get to it.
Zip. I don't have it so far.
Oh, wait a second. Anyway, challenge for John. How to challenge him? I don't know. I guess
I challenge my players all day, every day.
He does.
I
But I
guess
do have answers.
the mischievous side of me would be to try to pick out a character that I think he sort of just made up on the spot for funsies to fill like a hole in like the story, like a shopkeeper, something really generic, and then challenge him by like really trying to delve really deep. But
Well,
at
yeah.
the same
Remember
time,
the dude who like hooked us up with the cart when we were leaving Nexus the first
Yeah.
time?
that dude.
That guy.
You
or
have
whoever.
coin? I need coin for long
he
important
remembers.
reasons.
He remembers better than
I tell
do.
you this reason now. Sit down. I'm going to take a while.
Oh
At the
boy.
same time, John's so good at improvising that I don't know. I haven't roleplayed with him before, so I don't know how to challenge him yet.
I'm very interested to see how Ray and Jarek would handle it. They have a very important secret on the morning. I don't think Ray would be very good with secrets.
It wasn't a very important secret. It was a I don't want to hurt Ray's feelings because I don't think she realizes this secret.
It was
Challenge-
great. You were like,
challenge issue.
An allergy may have
Help.
been an
Which challenge? That one?
May have been an understatement.
What?
Dare you to do a 24-hour marathon stream?
20
Challenge has been issued. We cannot back down.
Kung Fu vendors in the land.
Kung Fu vendors is like,
can it
no,
wait until
don't do
late May when we might actually have time?
But actually, some people on our latest stream that I posted on YouTube were saying, because we had jokingly talked about a 6-hour stream,
Yeah.
and they were down. So that, like doing a longer stream, maybe akin to 6 hours.
We would
might
get
be
our
something
second
that-
win. But there would definitely be a dip in the middle where it'd be like, somebody order a
Stream
pizza.
for
We just
3
all have to
hours,
have
you know? So you
IVs
take,
to, like-
15-minute break in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally do it.
I think we could. That's the thing. Like my challenge for this is the fact that my experience role playing was very often really long sessions. So I'm like, what do you mean it's only 3 hours? Need more.
Oh, it's doable, Ira. The point of a 24-hour marathon stream, though, is that, like,
Pick up viewers. And
we'd pick up viewers, but at the same time, you know,
Wow.
we'd just have to make sure that we were at a position where A, none of us were, you know, needed to perform surgery the next day. B, that we'd have enough viewers to make it worthwhile, and C, we'd have to, you know, plan the logistics of it. But, you know, we'll see. So the challenge that I have for the three of you.
Oh boy.
Boy.
You know us so well. Where's your data? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh shoot! I turned off my Wi-Fi.
I'm interested to find out,
nice couch.
and I don't think that you guys need to take this too much to heart, right? Like, this is something that would challenge you, but not something I'm requiring you to do. Is to decide what you would sacrifice for the best personal gain for yourself. So if you think about your greatest goal, don't kick the table.
Sorry.
if you think about the
I just crossed my legs. Sorry.
speak,
I crossed my legs too close to the
Perfect.
table.
it's if you can think of what a goal is that your character wants. Maybe it's as insignificant in global politics as I wish that I had my first real kiss, to something as significant as I wish to stride up and knock over the Scarlet Empress's throne with one hand while slamming my own fist directly into the face of, I don't know, a war strider in the other.
Yeah.
But what would you sacrifice to get there? Another way to phrase this question, and we'll tie this into LARPs. If I handed the 11th eye to you, what would you ask it for, and what would you be willing to give up to get it?
I have to answer this now?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
No, it's just a
Hashtag
challenge.
Ray punches a war strider. Yes.
Hashtag Ray punches a war strider.
Yeah.
Can I just say, there's like an army of like 100 and Ray's just like, no problem. And then
Well,
a couple
that's-
war striders come out and she's like, let's do that,
That's
cracks him in the
interesting.
face.
Because my first thing is like, Val would give up her life. But Starlight Dove's
Oh,
constantly been
wait.
trying to, and I think John has been trying to tell us, or specifically at least Val, like,
The views of
You're
Starlight Dove do
important.
not necessarily represent the
You-
views of your storyteller.
yeah. But also, like, in a few of the other interactions, it's the fact that, like, if I die, that's like maybe a good sacrifice, but I can do more than that one person who was killed in the street sort of thing. So I think, yeah, I need to figure out, Val would have to figure out what her price is. It's not just her life. It's got to be something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to make sure that I point out, that Starlight Dove saying that, I don't want people to start thinking that I value certain lives above others.
No.
Yikes.
No, I'm not.
Oh, John.
No, I'm saying
You old trickster.
storyteller wants our characters to think about thinking about this. Yeah.
I do wonder, like, I know we weren't supposed to necessarily answer this
You
now,
can.
but I mean, Ray grew up in Nexus. She has major ties to the slums of Nexus, and I
Them
wonder
slums, though.
if
Ew.
she would be willing to let Nexus be completely decimated if it meant that, the Solars advanced their cause, or if it meant that her dad stayed safe because they were in control. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yikes.
or
I
they-
wonder about that.
leave
You're kicking
Nexus,
the table again.
Thank you. Leave Nexus to sort of like go to the Blessed Isle and do things that will eventually help Nexus, but you're banning it in the interim. Yeah, that's interesting.
Alright, but I'm going to get to your question in a second. I just
Oh,
want to see
that's
if Scott
interesting.
has an answer for my challenge.
My answer is just sort of a thought that I've been having a lot,
Mhm.
and I know that it was inspired by something, and it's really kind of like gone out of my head right now. But in 1984, the George Orwell novel, the dystopian novel. Okay, so let's stop with Scott. The idea that if your goal is power, there's no upper limit. Power begets more power. There's nothing there, really. Like, this is me as a player, not Jorik as a person. If the idea is like, I want power over things, that doesn't really mean anything because there's always another level to which that you can get. Right? And the sort of the relation, in 1984, the idea is they have to, this totalitarian regime has to keep stamping on the enemy forever. Because you can never have too much power. And I think Jorik's challenge in terms of sacrifice is like, well, what wouldn't he sacrifice for more power? Except then there's nothing left. What do you have power over if you sacrifice stuff? It's this weird kind of dichotomy that's happening. I love it.
Well, I'm going to go. That's
Yeah,
totally
sorry,
interesting for
no,
the three of you. Like, I really appreciate those answers, and I will now deliberately change the game to fuck with all three of you.
Hey!
But, let's ask another question that we'll see if it'll fuck with the game even further. What is the one NPC that each of the PCs would regret losing the most?
Summer
Because I
Blue.
have an answer.
Oh.
And for the purposes of this question, Ray's father is not allowed.
That's fair.
Because
That is
that's a
fair.
defining intimacy of
Yeah,
yours. It's
yeah.
not really.
Kind of like I was
Easy
gonna be like,
answer.
well, my answer's
Good
done.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
choose myself?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God.
Can I choose the reflection I see in the mirror? Okay, Scott. Summer Blaze, for sure. I don't know.
Oh, that's
Summer
many for sure.
Blaze.
Makes me. Yeah, I mean, not just.
Not even Foxy.
Not even Foxy. It's not only the fact that we met her first,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have the most history with her, but for Jorik, I think there's something there. The idea of, and I know he's not a Zenith,
Mm-hmm.
but like the idea of converting a terrestrial exalted is really attractive, right? So to him, to his sensibility.
Makes sense.
So the idea that that's happening, if that was to go away, I think that might be crushing.
It might be
Might be
crashing.
killer.
Okay.
Other thoughts, people?
Because as a Kate, like I would hate it because we've had her from the beginning, and she's such an I think there's a lot of interest to her, and I think that she's an interesting character for Val to come and butt heads against, and I feel like they're starting to get somewhere, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. So if you have an answer yet.
Yeah, definitely Ember for Ray.
Right.
And that's it. She's really starting to
Sit
care about
somewhere,
him.
You dumbass.
So that makes, new developments like the letter all the more distressing because Liz has inklings of what's coming and Ray does not. So it's a really interesting thing
Hashtag Rainbow.
to play. Yeah.
So if I understand correctly, we go for 3 of the first NPCs that were introduced. So Starlight
some of the
Dove, Ray,
best.
Starlight Dove, Ember, and
I haven't picked anyone yet.
okay. So
Because I said I would be sad
I
to
heard
lose
Summer Blaze.
Summer Blaze.
oh, not Starlight Dove.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bag.
Yeah. Starlight.
Bye,
I'm just
Pointy Man 2K.
But I think-
hello. I don't think we greeted you before.
Welcome from the Philippines.
Hello, Philippines.
Thank you.
To lose?
Yeah, Toulouse.
I think for Val it might be Three Fates Shadow.
Three Fates Shadow?
Yes,
Oh, interesting.
because she knows so little about her. She's so she's so out there. She's like, okay, I want to understand you. I need to latch on to you
Yeah.
and get you to make sense to me because I need to know about this. I think she's the biggest.
I want
question.
to understand you.
I mean, yeah.
Speaks of Silence is right now crying in a corner somewhere, and I just want you to
Speaks
know
of
that.
Silence. Don't worry, she's many of the chat's favorites. So
She's crying in a corner, probably just removing her clothes.
But I mean, that said, I can't imagine there's an NPC that any of us would be like, yeah, it's fine.
No.
Go nuts. I mean, sorry, any of the major
The
ones.
shopkeep. Yeah, I was gonna say the apothecary.
Any of the guys we only had one scene.
Well, the apothecary may or may not actually be.
This is very interesting. I can't wait to see what happens because poor Val and her whole I don't want someone to be suffering.
That's true. That's a whole other problem.
Crosshair, I'm gonna get to your question last. Yeah, Roomba, please. I can't.
Too late.
Yeah, its name is Roomba now, isn't it?
The magistrate.
If Roomba ever spoke, we might have a different name.
Crosshair, I'm gonna get to your question later because I think that's one that I want to get to in a bit of time. How I would challenge the viewers, but I've got a question from Crixie. How do I view pacing? We all know what solos are capable of. These sort of start small when you start with Essence Wind solos. They slide into bigger schemes. What's your approach? Will they quickly meet the big players of creation, or do I keep it slow? Yeah, the Onyx Path, I'd hate to lose. I'll talk to him too, trust me. So in terms of pacing, I think a lot of it sort of depends on what you expect of your players and also how familiar they are with the game. Knowing that this is the first time for Exalted Third with all of my players, I wanted to make sure that I was starting a game where they weren't immediately tasked with destroying, 5 talons of dragon-blooded armor.
No, it's not good.
Yeah. But at the same time, in the sort of, I guess now we've played maybe, we're about on 13 sessions right now or something like that?
Yeah.
None, that's including the sessions we played before we started streaming. Possibly.
Something like that, yeah.
that they're starting to accelerate. I mean, I think at this point it's become inevitable that they're just going to have to deal with the fact that Nexus is going to go up in flames if they don't start doing something. Especially with what happened last session, that's not going to be a thing that can just be swept under the rug and everything will be fine. So, in terms of pacing, I like the fact that... First of all, I love the fact that Solar started Essence 1. I mean, there's just that. I also love the fact that you can't buy Essence.
Yeah.
That you have to earn it by just having a certain amount of XP. That kind of gating really makes sense for me, and I think that that's a great idea. But I also think it just depends on your player base. If your players are really angling to go for, like, we want to start off Essence 4 and really go out and kick some ass, and that's what you want, then great. But I prefer letting them kind of come from their exaltation and moving forward. I mean, they're already at Essence 2. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Indeed.
Why are multiple NPCs interacting with Jork such incredible creepers?
Yeah.
This is an excellent question.
Because John finds it hilarious, would be my guess.
I like it.
Jork, being the most social character out of the three of them, will attract the attention of more people. And he also is kind of the one who's tasked with dealing with bad guys before punching them.
Jork is kind of a creeper too.
I agree,
This
Aragwen.
is fair.
There was that one moment I was trying to stunt. It just didn't work. I don't know,
Oh
man.
yeah, where you were like,
Trying to be
I
like,
go to
yeah.
kiss her cheek and then I like drag my nose across her.
No, that was intentional.
Okay.
No, there was another one that I was
my
like,
apologies.
oh god.
I do get these moments mixed up.
I can definitely veto if it bothers too much. How would each character react to another main
Oh.
character dying?
As in to one of... Oh. Yikes. Oh yeah, I smell her.
See someone suffering and unable or unwilling to help.
You would
Several
suck.
points of
limit break.
Yeah.
Straight up limit break, yeah, at that point.
The circle is a major intimacy for Ray now, so I think it would affect her more if Val died than if Jork died. I apologize.
We're not that close. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's too late to
A
apologize.
little too schemy for
He's-
Val.
he's
She's
still
not
quite aloof,
sure
you
yet.
know.
didn't know I made this problem character for all of you.
No, it's great.
Mm.
I like it. We're like, okay, I think we've got this kind of like wary alliance going on right
It's
now,
legit.
and I dig it.
Because my...
Girl talk.
No, I mean, it's on my character sheet.
Yeah.
I don't find this to be hidden information, but like, my intimacy towards you guys is need. Because I think in Jork's mind it's a question of
Yeah.
these guys fill a hole in a skill check. Stop, Scott. Stop. No.
Well, yeah. Speaks of
they-
Silence even called you out on it last time too.
Yeah.
Hashtag Jork's useful friends. Don't you remember?
Jork's useful friends.
Right.
I would watch that. Get out of that too. No, but
It's
the
Jork.
idea that
he rolls a lot of ones. It's his useful friends, and
No,
they kick
he
ass.
did okay
Jork's
last
useful
time.
friends.
I rolled some ones. You rolled our first two botches.
That's
I
true.
thought.
Yeah,
You did.
with your dad.
With your
Oh yeah,
going
but that
way
was
back.
funny.
Yeah.
That wasn't combat.
Yeah, you guys might have missed it, but Ray has botched twice early in the game just by talking with her father.
It was really adorable.
And it ended up in her father trying to give her the talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
It was very funny.
That was the first.
He did give her the talk.
He
in a
did,
way.
and he gave her some maiden's tea.
Other than the
I had, you know how expensive that maiden's tea was?
Very.
other than our exaltation sort of what would you call that? Not prequels, but like pre-story kind of session. That's the first moment I remember from the game. Like really clearly remember the talk.
Oh,
It's hilarious. And
are we still on No One's in the Moon? Okay. Oh.
Yeah, we're still on.
Okay, good. I just noticed that wasn't updating, so I was wondering.
no one has anything to say.
They're
Okay.
listening.
Oh,
They're
good.
listening to our hilarious conversation. I'm sorry.
But,
Oh no, there's more chat. You might be offline.
There we go.
Ah.
That's the ticket.
That's the.
You're missing the Onyx Path singing "I'm a solar girl in a solar world, life dynastic."
I'm
It's
just gonna
fantastic.
Why
put
am I-
question mark.
Oh,
Oh, no. We just missed
well,
that.
that's weird.
So no one told you exaltation be this way.
No. No. guess we're destined to never know.
Murmur.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they've lost access to the chat, which means I'm the only one
Which
who
means
has
John
access
is
to
going
it
to
now.
have to tell us what you said, putting his own spin on it.
I can't laugh too loudly because there are other
Neighbors.
people who live around here.
Boo. That's my dream. To be able to stream in a place where we can sing, have musical streams.
So,
Never let that happen. For the love of God.
John's
Oh.
in control.
So what did we miss then, John? What's happening?
A lot of people singing.
Should we answer the crosshairs question?
The Crosshairs question is actually
Like an end.
what we would do to challenge the viewers.
Oh.
So I'll throw that over to you guys first. I challenge them every week, but
That's true. I love the viewership and
Yeah.
and how engaged you guys are in the game, because we're really engaged in it, and it's awesome for people to share in that with us.
Absolutely.
In terms of challenging,
the Crosshair hates you all.
that sounds about right. In
Um,
terms of challenging the chat,
Dead air.
This
Just-
isn't
I'm
a
just thinking-
challenge, but I would encourage anybody who's had the impulse to create artwork surrounding any particular moment. If, for whatever reason, shyness is keeping you from it, please do not worry about that. We would love to see it.
Fan art makes my life.
Yeah, it really makes us very happy.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to force anybody who does not want to draw. Trust me, anyone who's ever seen my beautiful drawings, I understand.
Eric went furiously scribbling.
You know, if you don't want to follow that, my stick figure.
I'd like to challenge the
Pieces,
viewers to
but-
donate to ExalTwitch.
But yeah, just I guess feel free to engage with us in between the streams, like tweet at us and I personally am making because I do this all the time with my RPG characters, is I make playlists on Spotify and stuff. So if you guys can think of any musical pieces that make
Well,
you
the
think
Onyx
of
Path
certain
wants us to have a
moments,
musical
share us-
episode.
Share it with us and stuff.
Let's go.
So you can make
I'll
a really
write
rich,
the lyrics and these guys can sing them.
You can be the Alison Hannigan of
I don't-
of that episode. In the Buffy musical episode,
I
sings
think this
one
line's
line
mostly
because she
filler.
doesn't. Apparently, she didn't want to really participate.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, you don't have to do
It's
much.
not a singer.
It's
do it. It's
perfect. To jump on to that point, jump on it. Oh my god, it's getting so silly. I feel like one of the advantages of something like ExalTwitch over a live streamed or archived show role-playing game that's more episodic is that there is a forward-moving story that we can predict, talk about, kind of plan, and the characters have agency in this world. Right? Again, if we talk about something that's more episodic in terms of what dungeon are we crawling today, that's awesome, and it can lead to some freaking amazing moments, but there isn't quite as much future to it. It's what's the flavor of the week? What's the monster of the week? Whereas with ExalTwitch, so I would challenge the chat, essentially just to jump onto what Liz said, we can, we're super, I think we're all pretty super receptive to any ideas you guys have about wouldn't it be cool if, or where is this going? Obviously we can't guarantee that we're going to take what you have to say, but
No, but let's
participate
create
in
a
the
dialogue.
world. Yeah, participate in the world
Yeah.
and the universe.
Yeah, that means, you can comment on our YouTube videos, you can do the chat if you can join live, or Twitter. We try to open up a lot of channels for this dialogue and this engagement.
I actually do have a legit talent challenge. If I was to flip the tables, everyone bring a friend.
Yes. Yes,
Bring
please.
a friend next
Bring
time.
a friend.
Everybody who's watching right now, bring a friend on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you can come.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not familiar with this.
All my
friend.
friends are in this room, Scott.
Oh!
It's true.
What do I do?
I'll bother my friends who stopped in once or twice, once specifically, that backed the initial Kickstarter in a major way, that were a little frustrated with the wait time. Yay, we can see it on the big screen again.
When did you get here?
and encourage them to come back now that we've sort of got our feet on the ground in terms of the stream. Try to get them to come back.
Yeah.
And especially now that it's out and it's like got an index and stuff, they'll be like, yeah, now we can follow along.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now you can see what we're doing wrong. No, I'm-
So I have a few
Don't be
challenges.
Oh, good God.
yeah, get in there.
I have a few challenges for our viewership. The first, along the lines of like bring a friend, which I think is a great challenge. We need, we're performers, and therefore all we crave is attention. So being able to spread the word about it is important. Things like on the Exalted subreddit, on other message boards that you might frequent. Really, for this, it's going to be word of mouth that sort of spreads it. And while we're hoping to do more to kind of bring attention not only to ExalTwitch but also to Exalted itself, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to work out some cool, new, and exciting things. We'll see what we can do. A lot of it comes down to the audience being able to stop kicking the table. Yikes.
Hello.
Sorry.
We'll have to see what we can do to get the audience to make us more visible. So things like, if you see that people are posting about us, I know that we've had people post about us on Reddit. I actually posted for the first time on Reddit about ExalTwitch just to let people know that we were going to be here. But letting people know, sharing us, telling people that we're worth watching, if we are worth watching. Obviously don't lie on our accounts, but we like to think that we're trying to provide a game which is not only interesting for us, but interesting for an audience. And if you believe that, it's really going to be helpful if you guys share us. So that's
We're,
one.
Off from the chat again, just so you know. So if anything
Yeah.
comes up, just let us know.
I'm going to keep track.
Great.
So the second thing that I would challenge the audience to do is that we need to be better. And when I say that, it's part of it is just a technical matter. Like, do we have the right cameras? Do we have the right lights? Do we have the right microphones? I mean, even a setup like this, we have a single microphone sitting on a table in front of us. We have lights, like actual. Here, we can. You know what? Let's go behind the scenes.
Oh, shit.
Show
John's
that
taking
stack
us
of
on a
So we're going
board
behind the
games.
scenes. So like you can see that we've got our light banks set up here, along with our screen, so that they can try to see the chat. Although that's not working currently. There's the scene so that you guys can see, that I can see the chat. Although now we've got the infinite thing. It actually, believe it or not, it takes us a while to set this sort of thing up. Let's see
Too
if I can.
close to you.
Yeah,
Or you can back off.
I'll back off.
Back
So,
Yeah.
and that's our couch setup. Our table setup is also it's different, and it's, believe it or not, it's somehow more complicated, but it works out for us. The point is that we're slowly trying to develop this because while we are professionals, this is also a hobby for us, and we're professional artists, which means that we're all dirt poor, and we can't afford to rent studios out and get a whole studio hang and all those 4K reds that will just sit around and tape us all. So we're building this as we can. We're building it slowly, but we are building it. But the only way that we can build it is with your help. And that's not just in terms of I'm not talking about in terms of financial help, although of course anything that you give us is very appreciated, just because
Yeah.
we're reinvesting it right back into the stream. It's going to go towards equipment.
Yeah.
Or possibly just food to keep us alive so that we can, help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's beyond that.
But it's beyond that. But trust us, we're not making money off this. We'd be reinvesting it. But the thing that we need the most from you guys is we need feedback.
Yeah.
We need to know what's working and we need to know what isn't. And if you guys don't tell us that, then it's hard for us to kind of improve as much because we have to guess. Now, the best way to give us feedback, believe it or not, is not in the chat live. It's by messaging us on Twitter
Yeah.
or sending us email. You can contact us through our website. I think our email address
Yeah.
is on there.
Yeah.
You can even whisper through Twitch.
Yeah.
That'll
Whisper through Twitch.
That'll be saved.
If for instance the music is too loud and you can't hear us, then at that point use the chat. Make sure to let us know if there's a problem. We need to know about it. But we not only need to know how we can do better, but we need to know what we're already doing right. And we need to know what you would like to see in the future, even if it's something that we haven't gotten around to doing. So that's my challenge to you guys. My challenge is we need you guys to make us better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely. I mean, this camera that you're watching us on is actually new.
Yeah.
It's higher def, and John then got cascaded to our second best camera, which is what used to look at us. So we've made an improvement this time around. Woo!
So the
But
crosshair.
we're still trying.
The crosshair brings up a good point. Like, as a fair warning, there's no mercy in my professional feedback. So, one thing that I'll point out, we're all professionals. Okay?
Yeah.
Like we are film professionals. Watch LARPs, okay? Like I hate to put it this way, but LARPs is not like a web series that we did in our backyard with our iPhones. Like
Although to be fair, there is a scene set in somebody's backyard.
that's fine.
No, I'm
But
Yeah.
we actually like that. We're talking like dozens of crew have worked on that. We really put forward a ton of work into it. So we're used to having people give us professional feedback, and we're also used to people trashing us for no particularly good reason.
Ew.
But just bear in mind that while we're trying to get better and we want to get better, saying things like "you guys need better sound" is absolutely perfect. Just understand that if you say, "Well, totally, what you need is a $4,000 sound system with wireless lavs and all that," sure, we'd love it, but we just don't have $4,000 to throw on sound right now.
Yeah.
But telling us suggestions about things like equipment that we could get in the future, or places that we might be able to find that equipment for cheap, or stuff like that, that will help us build. So it's not so much that I want to say crosshair, like, don't hurt us, like, we can take it.
Yeah.
We all can take harsh
Absolutely.
criticism, trust us. Just also understand that this is, at the moment, not making us money. We're not at a professional grade. We're hoping to get there, but we're not.
Artemis, I think that you bring up a really interesting point in terms of people, yourself and Crosshair, I know, have brought up multiple times that you are not familiar with the system, and so sometimes you feel like you're getting lost. And this is something that we actually talk a lot about amongst ourselves in terms of like how we can make the game more easy to follow, more user-friendly for you guys.
Oh.
So one of the things that we had thought about was maybe having a glossary of frequently brought up terms where, things that Aragorn has been constantly posting in the chat, definitions like that are actually all put into one page, maybe on our website. And then people are able to go there quickly if there's a term they don't understand. So that's an example of like one of the things that we're hoping to implement.
Yeah.
Just to make it more, because we want you guys to be able to follow us while at the same time feeling like you are discovering new things about the system.
That's right. We also, we unfortunately just can't constantly be hand-holding, but maybe we can do better in terms of bringing people into the world.
Yeah.
Just we can't bog the game down by explaining every tiny little thing, but we do what we can. Iragwen and others in the chat have been absolutely fantastic about filling people in about this is what they're talking about, or they've made mention of this, and that's who this asshole is, and and then I say don't talk about Hate Wheel that way, and they're like, nah.
Real Brick Wall.
In fact,
we
everything
have
in the
those
chat window
summary
right now.
write-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, super quick. Kate has done an amazing job updating our website, exaltwitch.webs.com. Yeah, it is .com. With summaries.
Just above John's face, I do believe.
Yeah.
You got the website there.
She embeds the video and writes a really detailed, awesome, easy to follow synopsis of every session. I do not know how you do it, but it's awesome.
I try to remember to do that. I don't know if I've done last session. I don't think I have.
We're gonna have to.
But yeah, there is that. But I do think that we could have a more accessible version. And before our big screen chat refreshed, there's also someone saying maybe an introduction video. And I think that's something that we have discussed.
We've discussed it. What
So
we mean by an
yeah.
introduction video isn't so much like a, we're going to play it at the beginning of every episode kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just like look, if you only have 3 minutes and you need to find out where we're at, then you can watch that. We're definitely going to look into doing that.
Yeah.
Or something similar.
I love the idea of a glossary bot. I don't
Yeah.
know how that works. We're gonna have to look into that.
But the Onyx Path, we wouldn't dare interfere with your intellectual property. And
Or wouldn't we?
But I mean, if
I
you
mean-
were to send us a glossary, no. There's,
No, but at the
but-
same time, if you
but-
say that you're okay with us starting to build that, then
Yeah, this is
we can work on that. It can be sort of a group
all in the name
Exclamation
of
mark.
improvement.
speaks of silence. Salute, Fox. Just the bot just comes back with like the caustic, the nastiest descriptions of all the characters.
Every
John's
time.
making the
So
sauce.
John's making the bot. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But this is what we're talking about
Yeah.
when we say, we would like to improve. Obviously, there are things that can be added to, improved upon, and we are really excited to implement those changes where we can.
Yeah, where we can, but we want to hear about it all. However, during a stream when we're role playing is not the best time to give us extended feedback about that. That's why I'm saying contact us via email, contact us via Twitter, because then we'll actually have the time to respond to you and deal with it. This is an exception, this stream, because it's specifically designed for communication between us and you guys, but we can't do it on stream.
Yeah.
Or because we'll miss it.
Yeah.
I can't check the chat at all times.
I mean, like, last session was a great example of combat was going so fast.
God.
It was fantastic. But unlike in almost every other game I've been in, where I have like 10 minutes to sit around and wait for everyone else to take their turn, I didn't. So I would glance over at chat and I'd like smile at something someone said, and then like I'd miss another 5 minutes of chat because it just kept going.
Well, that's why I love that we export it to YouTube, or that I can watch it back on the Twitch VOD, because half the time I'm not watching us, I'm watching the chat. I'm like, what was the chat doing at this moment? Let me just see. Oh, fascinating.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have any drink left, but if you guys do...
Yeah.
I don't.
Cheers!
If you guys do, we're coming to the end of this.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for participating. You've got your challenges and we've got ours. You've asked us a ton of great questions. I hope that we've done what we can. We spent a lot of time talking about Exalted at the start. Please, if you guys have not bought the book already, consider doing so. It's a fantastic book, and it's jam-packed full of information. It's totally worth the price.
That.
And if you do, make sure to leave a review.
Yeah.
Reviews help like a ton. You don't know until you need them, but they do. But look, for John and for Holden and for all the other developers, for everyone who kickstarted this thing and helped bring it to fruition, which unfortunately none of us were because we
Didn't know about
it.
because we're too busy being poor, starving artists. To the community manager, Ian, to everybody, you guys have done something fantastic with us. Thank you so much, and we hope to bring you more as time goes on.
Cheers!
Cheers.
I can't drink out of this.
Well, you can just...
Scott, way
Do
to
it.
ruin the beautiful moment. Cheers!
Last question for you guys just before we quit.
Oh, good God.
What's the one thing that you really wish you could just let your hair down and do because you think it'd be funny on stream? Either in character or out of character. Scott's just...
Literally a world of possibilities is opening. In the Matrix when Neo's like, guns, more guns, and it's all the guns in the world. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Lots of guns.
It's ridiculous.
Dance
off.
Dance off?
More specifically.
Okay.
Performance? I assume. Yeah, okay. Dance
I love the idea of Rey performing Heaven Thunder Hammer without any fear of actual property damage. So like her throwing someone through a wall, not just into a wall, but through a wall, not worrying whose house it is, that the person's gonna die, just like... I feel like I'm always tempering her attacks a little bit because she doesn't actually want to kill anyone.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that.
But I think you're being a little too hesitant. You can't kill somebody that easily.
Mortal maybe. Anyway, yes, we'll talk about that. But yeah. Something for Haywheel. This one's for Haywheel.
Yeah. Just flaring my banner because I want to, and like going full out and being like, we're the best, I'm the best. Stop believing that we're anathema. That's a terrible word. How dare you call me
That's
anathema?
our word.
Next person that calls me anathema, you're done.
I'll break a spear on you.
Basically.
Oh no.
Aragorn wants Valyria to rip open the gates of Yushan, but she wants Rey to have more smoochies.
Yeah.
Smoochies, that's awfully PG.
And Jork and Summer likes to go on a
Bravo.
date.
I love it.
All right. Well, look. On behalf of Kate, Liz, and Scott, just thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be back at you on Sunday.
What is up?
But
Hope you guys can join
between
us.
Sunday and now, on Friday, we have...
Adventures of Punchy, 6 p.m. EDT on my channel, twitch.tv/Liz_Lemon17.
It is listed down
I
below.
was gonna say that's a
Do-do-do.
lot of. That's
Yeah.
a lot of.
And
words.
then Saturday, are you also streaming?
Saturday she's busy, but I'm going to do my best to stream something. If you guys want to give me a suggestion of a game that is either 2 to 4 hours, somewhere in that bracket, that is sort of storyline related, something in the realm of like Broken Age and Life is Strange, something storyliney that I could play through
Ooh.
in like 2 to 4 hours that I might do in 2 sessions.
Sweet.
Tweet at me. We'll
And
be on
then-
that channel.
And then
But
Sunday,
otherwise-
6 EDT.
Yeah. We will see you Sunday.
Hopefully.
Anyway, guys,
Sunday,
thanks so
Sunday,
much.
Sunday.
We know that this was on last minute.
Absolutely.
Apologies to our
To our non-North American
non-North American
Yeah.
folks.
Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to be posting this online within the next day or two.
Yep.
Exalted 3! Go get it!
Bye, guys.
Bye. Woo.
But we'll just wave because otherwise Twitch will cut us off. And nobody wants Twitch to cut us off.
Gangsta as fuck, yeah.